A little disclaimer before we get rolling here. You're about to hear some ads. They are all from local entities that want to support the baseball community. A lot of these guys have deep connections. We're players themselves, so if you see having a need for any one of these services, please go patronize these guys. Thank you. We are also brought to you by Sheehan and Sheehan Lawyers, located at 1215 South 4th Street, Suite A. They can be contacted at 217-544-0701. I'm talking Pat Sr., Pat Jr., and Willie. They can be contacted for adoption needs, agricultural law, business and commercial law, estate planning, real estate planning, taxation, traffic and minor traffic offenses, personal injury, wrongful death suits. And I grew up with Willie playing baseball on the Southwest Braves. We were state champs. He played high school baseball and soccer at SHG. Pat Jr. was an accomplished baseball player at SHG, SCI, and finally the U of I. We really appreciate the Sheens here. Love this guy. Love this family. Great, great family. So go see these guys. Appreciate you. We are also brought to you by Sitco Chiropractic. They can be reached at 217-525-2035 and sitcochiropractic.com. They offer chiropractic care, corrective exercises, lifestyle advice, nutritional counseling, spinal and postural screenings. They are located at 205 North Grand Avenue. Love the Sitco family. From the dad, Steven, to Kyle and Casey, I grew up with them. Their brother, Tyler, was a big-time baseball player at SHG and SCI. There's a reason they have over 70 ratings on Google, and they're all 5.0. These guys are great. I went to them a few years back for some back issues I was having. They'll fix you right up. Go see Sitco Chiropractic. We are also brought to you by Matt Brewer. Matt is an attorney here in town at the law offices of Stephen Kelly. Matt exclusively practices in the areas of personal injury and workers' compensation. He can be reached at 217-544-8000 or mbrewer@stephenkelly.com. I loved competing against this guy growing up. He was an SHG grad, 2002, stud in football and baseball. Went on to star for Dan Callahan at SIU Carbondale and then had a one-year career pitching in the Diamondbacks organization. I ran into this guy the other day. He looks like he could still lace him up. We appreciate you, Matt. We are also brought to you by Cardinal Cleaning. They can be reached at cardinalcleaningonline.com and 217-679-6567. The owner-operator, Adam Springer, local baseball dude, family friend, stand out at Chatham Glenwood in the mid-'90s. Also had a stellar career at Rend Lake and Kentucky Wesleyan. Cardinal Cleaning can take care of any cleaning needs you have. Home, business, restaurant, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever you need, they can take care of you. Get a hold of Cardinal Cleaning. They'll do the rest. All right, buddy. So yesterday that went incredible. I started you off a little hot. I hit you with the Larry O quote right off the bat, hit you right in your chest.
Yeah.
Unfair of me. So I want to start off a little lighter, a little funnier today. We just finished up your off season, or you're getting into your off season after kind of your whirlwind year of A-ball to AAA to AA and back all around. Seemed like you bounced around there a million times. We're in our off season here. I want to talk about, we're going to talk about it at some point, so I'll bring it up now. Let's talk about your bachelor story, if we can. Get it out of the way.
Yeah, shoot, man. A lot like the billboard in Springfield, the Bachelor still follows me to this day as well.
Yep.
No, but luckily I did not follow through with it. But there is a pretty good story behind the whole how it all came to works, and so I'll give you a little behind the scenes here. So it's a little fast forward because this is 2005. And it was my first. I started the year in AA, so back in Jackson, Tennessee, and we got a house full of the just teammates, roommates, and there was this one guy that was married, and she was a huge fan of the show. I had watched it a couple times here and there, but she was a huge fan of the show, and she would always tell me, she's like, "You would be perfect for this. You'd be perfect for this." And so Yeah, I just laughed it off. And then,
Sure.
you know, how I'm sure for those who've watched it, it's like, if you know who the next bachelor would be, please,
Yeah.
submit them, this and that, at the end of the show or whatever. And so she came to me one day and she's like, "Do you care if I submit your name?"
This is great.
And I'm like,
Man.
"Listen, I don't care. Like, I didn't think anything of it. I don't care. You do what you want." And so weeks go on, and then next thing you know, I get this after one game, still in Double A, still kind of going through the season there. At the end of the game, you're checking your phone and what the messages and whatnot, and I have a missed call and a voicemail, and I listen to it, and it's like a producer from ABC, The Bachelor, and very interested in you and your story, and would love to connect with you. And I just kind of laughed it off. And so, after the game, shower up, you go out, and the wives and families and whatnot are and waiting for us. And I went over to her and I was like, well, which friend did you get, to kind of prank call me
Yeah.
with this bachelor stuff?
Oh, you did not
And
think it was real?
no. I was like, this is a joke.
That's
I
perfect.
was like, so I thought, she was a prank call. And she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Listen to this voicemail that I got, while I was during the game." And she's like jumping up and down, screaming, hollering, and she's like, "No, this is so real. This. I did not have anything to do with this. So I just again kind of laughed it off." But she's like, "Will you call him back?" And all right, I'll call him back. I'll just kind of entertain this
Yeah.
and call him back. And next thing you know, they're like, "Yeah, like." You made the cut to at least get this thing off the ground and get started. And so they send me a bunch of information to fill out, like what type of girls do you like, what times of dates, like all this information of your type,
Uh-huh.
and what your dream looks like, finding your significant other. And
Uh-huh.
and so it was kind of fun. We get on these bus trips. And for those who've been on a team bus, like some of the buses have a microphone at the front. So I get on there and we go on a long road trip, and I'm like, all right, I get on the mic, all right, guys, this is what's going on. John Conley was the guy that was married to this girl, and he was a great little left-handed pitcher. I was on the team. And I was like, Miss Conley's got me into this, and we're gonna have some fun with this. So I start reading out the story or reading out the questions, and I have the whole team helping me fulfill, like,
Answer them.
answer these questions. So at this point, I got the whole team like involved in this. It's probably my fault from like spreading the news, but
Yeah.
we were having a ton of fun with it, a ton of fun. And so we submit these in, and then weeks go by. Next thing you know, it's like, all right, you've made the next cut. And
Wow.
then then they had you had to send videos in, right? Pictures and videos. And so again, like, get the guys into this. The manager knows at this point, and
Everyone's in support of this. Like, they don't think it's a distraction or anything.
I mean, as you know, these long bus rides, like, you're either watching movies or playing cards. Like, this was a fun twist. And
absolutely.
And so we're having fun doing these videos, and again, submit them in, and next thing you know, it's like, all right, you made the next cut.
It's getting real now.
And I'm like, oh, geez, like, yeah, exactly. It's
I don't want
real.
this.
Well, and that's what I started getting to thinking. I'm like, honestly, man, I'm not ready to get married. Like, I mean, you go on these shows to find you're supposed to, I guess, anyway. And I'm like, I'm not ready to get married. Like, I'm just like getting going in my career. Just had a couple nice years, and like to your point, like, is it a distraction? Like, what would the Cubs think this is a bad deal? And so all this stuff's going through my head, and
especially if you're not like a top prospect guy too,
Oh yeah, completely. And my mom's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? I've watched these shows, and I don't want to be on this show." And,
Mama O'Malley's not into it.
Yeah, and you can imagine my dad. He doesn't even know what the show is.
Right, never seen it. No idea.
Yeah. And then like we have the camp, or not the campus pastor, but the team
Chaplin.
Yeah, Chaplin, right? So he knows about this, and he's like, man, what are you doing? You're going down the wrong path. Like, this is not. I've seen this show. Yeah. So he's kind of on me, and but next thing you know, like there's the final three. Like it's down to the final three, and I've got to take a trip. I got to take a trip to. They're inviting me to Los Angeles, Hollywood, to kind of solidify the final three. And so at that point, I'm like, man, it's the middle of the season. I'm starting at the time in Double A. Like so I'm things are good, going good. And again, I thought it was a distraction, this and that. And again, my manager was on board. He was like, hey, with you being in a starting rotation, make your start, fly out, go do your thing, come back, you can make your next start. Like if you want to do that, also, go for it. But again, I got the thing. I'm like, dude, this isn't for me. Baseball is my dream. I'm not ready to get married, and I kind of pulled my name out of the hat at that point. But that's the backstory. That's the kind of the whole thing, and it's still people still bring it up to
made
this
it
day.
to the made it to the final three without trying, and I think it ended up being Jesse Palmer that year. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate. It's have you guys seen the show the Doctors? It's on. He's got a TV show. He was a doctor in the military.
Okay.
I forget his name, but it's called the TV show is called The Doctors.
Okay.
He ended up getting it and going on that year. So
cool. All right. So
yeah, there you have it.
Thank you for taking us through that, dude. That was. I know that's a funny little story from your history, and that was amazing taking us through that. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
So I think where we leave off now is kind of off season before your 2005 season. Is this when we finally hook up with Chad and start that training and that friendship?
No. It was after the 2005. So here in between the 2004, 2005, I was asked, kind of coming off that really nice year in 2004. I was asked to go to Puerto Rico to play winter ball.
Cool. Let's talk about
that. And so it was really cool. So the pitching coordinator. So each team has a pitching coordinator, and he was picked to go be the pitching coach for this Puerto Rico team.
Okay.
And the bullpen coach for the big league team was the manager. So I was like, dude, this is a big opportunity. I mean, These two guys are asking me to go be a part of the team. And for those that don't know, like typically you only get 4 Americans to be invited to go play
on a roster.
Well, not even just like non-Puerto Ricans to go play. Not on a roster. And so, man, like an A-ball guy getting to go, like it was a pretty big deal. And so I went and played Puerto Rico all winter long. And
how was that experience?
I mean, I loved it, man. It was just a whole nother experience. Never been to Puerto Rico. I mean,
we left off kind of.
All right.
We were in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, in Puerto Rico, just kind of like understand. I mean, island life. It was a great experience. I had just a bunch of great guys. I mean, pro guys that are on this team, AA, AAA guys, Puerto Rico guys that just kind of like legends. Jose Valentin, I don't know if you remember the name.
Wow.
Jose Valentin.
Of course, yeah.
It was his team. Like he played. Really? His brother was on the team. And
it's so cool all the places baseball's taking you, man.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, dude. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast in itself.
Right. Keep going on Puerto Rico. I just wanted to say that. It's incredible.
And so, got to be a starter there. And I actually had a decent winter of just kind of that continued run I was on. And the idea was I've never really had a breaking ball. That was probably the one thing.
Interesting. Yeah. To work on that.
It was like, let's go dial in a breaking ball, to come back and compete in that AA and AAA that following year, 2005. And had a good winter, but still never really kind of dialed in that breaking ball. And that was probably still, and never did my whole career. But but nonetheless, came home. But yeah, I mean, spent Thanksgiving over there, Christmas over there. So it was a unique year for me. Like,
For sure.
and the one thing I loved the experience. I loved all the opportunity. But the one thing it made the season so long. So you start in spring training,
There's no break.
play the whole summer, all of winter.
Yeah.
I had like a month or a month and a half before we started spring training again, and so that kind of takes us into that 2005 season. In spring training and being like, man, I'm kind of gassed.
Yeah.
And
Already feeling it.
yeah, and like I said earlier on, like I always loved spring training. I always felt like I was sharp. I prepared mentally. My body was ready. It was in a great position to go compete.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
I tell you that this year I was like kind of like looking in the mirror, like, oh man, like oh man,
This could be a long year. Or
spring training here, and I'm tired, and
yeah.
so that was just something that I'll never forget. But luckily, was able to have a decent spring, and make that Double-A team out of spring
Right.
training. And I think it was a testimony to my previous season, the
Right.
2004,
Sure.
and then
Absolutely.
in the winter that I had, I had that pitching coordinator there, so
Yeah.
he got to see it, and I got to make that team out in 2005.
Let me pause you real quick. I've got an interesting question. I think I always knew you as someone that was very meticulous about your off-season training and weightlifting and conditioning and all that. Were you able to continue on while you're pitching in Puerto Rico doing some of that, or you have to back off? So obviously a very different off-season for you.
Oh, actually, it was awesome. There was this trainer, Bryo was his name, and he was a strength and conditioning coach in the White Sox organization. This
Cool.
guy was amazing. He was so good, and it was not necessarily there was not really a nice gym that we would go to. I did roommate with this guy from New Jersey, so I mean, he was a true New Jersey guy. I mean, blowout, big muscles, had the tan going, and so he found us this gym that we would go lift weights and get after it. But this Bryo guy was more at the field, and so we would
Okay.
go hours before the game started
Cool.
and
Okay.
work out with this guy, and I learned a ton from him and got to work out. But again, it was just fatigue
Yeah.
and probably mentally more than anything, the mental grind of
It's a lot of baseball, man.
a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we end up starting off in Double-A with the West Tennessee Diamond Jacks in the Southern League. Take me how that goes for you, bud. I mean, it looks like play well, 3.91, shoving, 78 innings.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of up and down. The Southern League's a great league. It's some long bus rides, down to Jacksonville, Florida. Like it's like 12, 14-hour rides. Like it was the real deal.
That's
just
that real minor league bus life.
100%.
Long ones, yeah.
But it was a great league nonetheless. Super hot. I remember going down to Mobile, Alabama, and like I got these pictures of like sweat just flying off my arm, like as the balls, getting released. It's just super hot, just muggy. But this is where I met Alan Dunn. Like Alan Dunn was the pitching coach. This year, he was, the end of 2004, got to spend a little bit of time, but like this is the year that I really got to know Alan Dunn and respect for that guy and what he poured into me and taught me, and the commitment that he spent, really a lot of time with me, personal one-on-one throwing and just coaching. And this was the year that him and I gained the respect towards each other, and therefore I think I started in the bullpen, but then had some spot starts.
Yeah, it looks like you had 9 starts here.
Got some starts, but then like typically it was like one of the prospects that in the rotation would get hurt or sent up and need to fill a gap for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then go back to the bullpen, which I was fine with. And
yeah, it seems like you were really okay with that role, whatever the Cubs wanted you to fill in, and I think that they probably valued you for that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at it like a utility player, a guy that can either switch hit or
perfect. Yeah,
you could play center field, you can play shortstop. You can catch a game. Like I was kind of related to that, and those guys are so valuable. I like that. Yeah, and so yeah. But man, we went to the playoffs that year, and I didn't really get the pitch, and it was kind of like I was like, shoot, man, because at that time I was kind of probably digging myself a little too much. And I didn't get to pitch in the playoffs, which was, probably, looking back, it was, like I said, it was probably digging myself a little bit too much. I talk about not being too high or too low, and I was probably getting a little too high, and that kind of brought me down. And then,
well, what do you mean by that? Can you expound on that in any, like, what you were just like feeling? Yeah. Or could you expound on that at all?
Yeah. I mean, I'm in Double-A now, and I'm having some success there. And,
feeling like you're legit.
Well, I just feel like I'm kind of coming in my own here. I belong here, and and getting in the playoffs, like, man, any competitor, it's like you want to be the guy. You want to get in there and pitch. And man, I didn't really get to pitch in some key areas, and that I typically did during the season, and that just kind of tells you, like, hey, well, the manager wants to go with this guy instead of you, and so it was just, like I said, it was just a little humbling experience, which like looking back, it was probably the best. It was a good thing because I went home at the end of that 2005 season, like wanting to get after it, and really,
there was a fire lit under you after that. Like,
exactly.
I have some work to do. Cool.
Yeah,
but I see we have time in AAA here too.
Yeah, it was one of those things, Blake, where I needed to go up and do, like, I think it was a spot start or just kind of fill in a little bit. Fill in a role and for that Double-A spot. And it's typically a trickle effect. Someone gets called up to the big leagues, then it leaves the void in AAA, and they need some help. So again, I was that utility guy that went and did that. And I don't remember how much it was that year, but it was the majority of it.
You got 27 innings, 6 games, 4 starts.
Okay, so it's kind of that start role.
Yeah, look like they have you listed as like starter, reliever, a little bit of this and that.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. So some success this year, some maybe some not as great a results as you would like. Feeling inspired going into this off season.
Oh yeah, I mean that 2005, man, we had a really good team. I mean, that's when Ricky Nolasco was in Double-A. He had a great big league career. Rich Hill was on that team. He was striking out 14 a night.
Yeah.
Ryan Terrio was a shortstop. He was a long time, Cub and Cardinal, and he's got 2 World Series rings from LSU. And Micah Hoffpower. I mean, we had a legit team. That Soto was our catcher. Giovanni Soto was our catcher that year. Like we had a good team.
All right.
Which was awesome to be around those types of prospects and guys. Yeah. So yeah.
All right, man. I've been itching to get to. I feel like every offseason I keep trying to get to Chad Marshak here. Are we finally at Chad?
Yeah, we are,
man. It's Chad.
We are. Absolutely.
Let's give this man his flowers. Let's open up a whole flower shop for this guy, because I know you think so highly of him, as do I. One of my favorite people in the world. I know he's one of your best friends, has been for a long time. Chad, being the owner of Body Cemetery here in town, has trained a ton of athletes, but trains, people all across the population, but really good with athletes, really innovative. You said Tony Kolovic hooked you guys up, and can you just start talking about Chad?
Yeah, no, again, yeah, you well said, man. The guy's amazing, just a heart of gold,
Yeah,
tons
truly.
of knowledge when it comes to um, the way the body moves,
Yeah,
individually, what that person needs, not kind of lumping everybody in the same.
well
But
said. Yeah,
then really the nutrition part for Chad. But yeah, like Tony, I saw Tony Kolovic come home in the off season, and before the season he was just not a heavy set, not a fat guy by any mean, but just dude, I come home and the guy's ripped and
yeah,
lean and in shape, and I'm like, man, what are you doing? What have you been doing? Like, good for you. Like, high
yeah,
fiving him, like, and um, and that's why he's like, dude, you got to meet this guy. I think it'd be something that you'd be interested in, and connected the dots, and man, it was like from day one, Chad and I just hit it off.
yeah,
And like you said, just a dear friend. Today, I don't get to see him near as much just because we're miles apart. But
yeah,
still, man, what he did for my career,
yeah,
kind of taking it to where it was, and taking it to that next
yeah.
level
Absolutely.
of getting my body right.
Yeah,
Again, coming off that 2004 long, like, really no off season,
yeah,
getting my body right, but more importantly, it was the nutrition that guy
yeah,
just dialed it in, man. He knows nutrition and what
yeah.
what your body needs, and
I
there was at that age, or at those years that I was playing, there was still guys using the player enhancement,
right.
you know, yeah, yeah, whatever you want to take it as that.
Yeah,
And I never chose to go down that path.
right.
And I really chose to, like, you got work with a guy like Chad to, like, get everything out of nutrition
Yeah,
and body, just the natural way of feeding the
yeah,
machine,
yeah.
and that's what
You were
Chad.
always so dialed in with your nutrition and your weights and your conditioning, man. It was always very impressive to see.
Well, it's a testimony to that guy.
You're right.
I mean, he put the time and effort into me, and I wanted it just as bad, and so it was a great connection.
Yeah,
So
and he thinks, I mean, so highly of you. I sat and talked to him for a half hour talking about you, and we could have talked for hours. But I'm gonna read some Chad quotes here to you. And before I even go any further, I think just Chad is just we both said it, but one of the best people. One of the most authentically happy and joyful. He like radiates positivity. That guy has found his calling and training, and he's followed it, and that's what a fulfilled life looks like. So love that guy to death. I'm going to read you some Chad quotes. Said you guys met through Tony K, worked together most of your pro career, became fast friends. He was in your wedding. Is that correct?
yeah, yep,
Yep. You guys were roommates for a time together,
yeah. I lived in
living
his basement.
together.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, right, man. He said those were great times. He described you as a best friend of mine, one of my best buds, truly a brother. He said, what you see is what you got. Honest, straight shooter, hard worker, good values, good morals. What else could you ask for in a friend or a person? The type of person you want to surround yourself with. At the professional level, at O's level, we're talking about 1 to 2 degrees of separation between guys that are, make it and that don't. And basically what he said he was trying to uncover with you guys training, what were those extra percentages, those little tiny increments that you could improve on. O was really like an 87 to 89 guy. He said you touched 92 a few times, had a nice changeup, plenty of movement, spotted well, took advantage of his gifts, and had a very high baseball IQ. O knew he was going to have to think outside of the box to succeed. Proud of him today and how he eats. He really is he was a pretty poor eater when we met. And I think him dialing in his nutrition had a huge benefit on his career. He said you were extremely athletic. Thought you could have been a D1 receiver. And not a lot of people know, but we talked about it, that you were this accomplished soccer player as well with tremendous footwork. So obviously Chad thinks, so highly of you. So I have one story that I want to share. It's actually between you and I. I don't think you're going to remember it. I think it's hilarious. And it kind of ties into the nutrition part. It was at Jason Knadler's bachelor party. I think we went to Peoria or something. I can't totally remember, but it was like a party bus or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like at the end of the night, everyone had, was boozed up a little bit. It's a bachelor party. Somebody stopped at like Steak and Shake and bought like 100 burgers or something like that. And, brought them on the bus, and everyone's just tearing into them, getting after them. You're not. I'm sitting next to you. You're not getting into them. And I like am putting one up to my face, and you look at me, like right in the eyes, and you're like, for the sake of this being family friendly, I'm going to use a different word, but you were like, you might as well be eating a piece of crap. And I was like, and I put that burger down, and it reminded me kind of like the Happy Gilmore moment. Like, you eat pieces of crap for breakfast? In my head, I was like, Blake Helm does not eat pieces of crap. And like, I had a weird relationship with burgers for years after that. So
yeah, dude, I do remember that. And I was bought in, man. And I knew that, man, Chad instilled it in my mind, and I was bought in, and there was no, it's funny you say that, because there's tons of stories. Even my dad eating a bag of potato chips, and like, again, a late night, and in the kitchen, dad eating I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Why are you treating your body like that? And so, yeah, probably too many stories of me telling people how they should eat. But
I mean, it came from a good place. It definitely stuck with me. I had so much respect for you. I don't think I ate a burger for a couple of years after that. I've since, I'm okay with burgers now. I love burgers, but you ruined them for a couple of years.
That's funny. That's funny.
All right, so
no, well, I got to tell something about Chad. Like, he we were getting after it, and he was pouring into me, and then he was like, man, I've never really worked with like, this level of an athlete before. And so he's like, man, I feel like I can take you to this level, but we need to seek some more.
Yeah.
And I just want to again, take my hat off to that guy. And I can't say it enough about, just what he poured into me, but
yeah,
he paid a trip
he
for
kept
him and
educating
I.
himself. Yeah.
He paid for a trip for him and I to go down to Florida to meet with this guy named Chuck Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working with AJ Przinsky. He was working with some big league players at the time, and some all-stars. I mean, these guys were, and so we spent like 2 or 3 days with this Chuck Wolf, and he wanted me to spend time with him and what Chuck saw in my body, and what we could continue to tweak. And this was all Chad. Like, he like I said, he paid for the trip, and it was his idea. He seeked it out, and he was just like, it's a testimony that, man, what he wanted for his own career, like just to get better and push the limits for himself, but just what he did for me, was a true. I mean, I'll never forget that. Yeah. So I wanted to tell that story because
there it is.
I think about it often.
He's one of the best guys I've ever met. Yeah, dude, he's the best.
Yeah.
So you guys hooked up, and it's a great relationship from the start. Taking your body, taking your nutrition to new levels. How are we feeling going into this next off season? Kind of renewed, like a new body.
I was back. Yeah, I was back. Yeah. I was back after, like I said, that really no off season in 2004. I had a decent year, but like I said, I was kind of humbled there at the end of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I had that drive and my body was like, I had prepared the best I could. I was super confident going into spring training there in 2006. And I didn't have, I kind of had a little bit of like, man, is this it? Like, didn't get to pitch so now I'm fighting for, double A, triple A
spot.
And maybe even, like guys are looking at making the big league team, out of maybe even a minor league spring training.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often, but at least getting some, you got to get some games in spring training where you go up to the big league game to fill in. You might get an inning, late inning, something. So it's like you're getting there.
Right.
So yeah.
Here we go. So this is your 2006 year.
Yeah.
We're gonna start. This is where it starts. We're starting off in AAA. We're sent to AAA out of spring training.
Yeah, which was so I would talk about Alan Dunn, and so he got promoted to be the AAA pitching coach.
That's awesome because obviously you guys have this amazing relationship, so that's a positive to start the year.
And I as I always do, I look back at the stars align and different things, and this is definitely one that you have a guy. Well, I mean, no, it's definitely not the first star, but for him to get that AAA job, and for him and I to have that respect for each other, because there's guys in minor league camp that have big league time. They get a minor league invite from another team that has AAA experience, has maybe even some big league experience, that are on that that fighting for that AAA roster.
Yeah,
and I made that roster, with none of that, or a very little AAA experience, no big league time. And I made that AAA roster that year, in the bullpen. And I think it was Alan Dunn. I was never in those meetings, obviously, but I think it was Alan Dunn raising the hand, like, I want this guy on my team.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. When I spoke to him, and I'll eventually send you that whole conversation. But he did.
Yeah. No, it's no question in my mind. That's how I made that team that year.
That's
no question,
crazy, man. Yeah, wow. And we spoke about it a little bit in the last podcast for part 1, but Alan Dunn, this guy could not think more highly of you, man. He has the utmost respect. He loves you as, like, I don't know if this is like a son, best friend type thing, but you guys obviously have a very special relationship, and he cares about you. Like, you guys are going to be friends forever. It sounds like what he wants. And that's really cool to have someone like that in your corner. And I'm looking, and it looks like you're having a strong year at AAA here.
Yeah, well, let me tell one more story in that spring training that year. So, a lot of the guys that are going to make that team are in big league camp, and so I'm. Well, you know what? That might have been a year before. Anyway, I like the story because it kind of goes into the Rick Kranitz. I missed this part of kind of like a tweak in my career. I forget. Okay. It's all kind of a blur, but
sure.
On what years was which? But Rick Kranitz was the AAA manager, or AAA pitching coach. Those previous 2 years when I got called up in the 2004 2005 spring training. When I got called up, he had taught me that. Man, I talked about not having a breaking ball, but he taught me a cutter.
Interesting.
And that was in AAA. I'll never forget in Nashville. He taught me this cutter, and it's something that kind of took my career on. Again, not having a breaking ball, he taught me that little cutter, which was huge for kind of taking that 2006 year to the success that it had. But a story in spring training was this Paul O'Toole. He was a catcher from out of Notre Dame that him and I had. He was one of the backup catchers in Jackson, Tennessee, with the Diamond Jacks, and we had this Luis Montanez. He was like a stud. He was a first round guy, high round pick. He was raking in spring training, and he had like 4 or 5 hits in the game, and they plunk him, they hit him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going out to pitch that next inning, and I go over to Paul, and Rick Kranitz was the pitching coach. I go over to Paul, I'm like, hey, we're doing this, right? And he looked at me and he's like, absolutely, we are. And this is spring training, right? And so we go out there, and I hit the first guy square in the ribs, and hit this guy. And that was something that Rick Kranitz, had always said, like, dude, he's like, this is the kind of guy that I would want on my team. And so, just kind of looking back at some of those stories,
stuff like that along the way.
Yeah, that again, like, not ever having the big league, like, stuff,
Yeah.
the size, the velocity,
Right.
but kind of looking back at just some of those things that happened, I think kind of, again, the stars aligned to keep getting those chances of like, keep
Yeah.
giving this guy a shot for some reason. I don't know why, but just keep giving him a
Man,
shot.
it makes me tingle when I think of all the stars that had to align for everything to happen. We're
Yeah.
getting real close to this part.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go.
Buddy,
All
here
right.
we go, man. And that was a great story. Thank you for taking us through that. That was essential. Let's so AAA, man. I'm seeing like for the year about a 4 ERA. Looks like you're mostly starting, but a little bit of relieving too. Like you had a nice year here, man. 7-7, 123 innings, about a 4 ERA. Yeah. Do you have anything to expound on that?
Yeah.
Just a good year. That
No,
cutter's obviously working.
Yeah, I started the year in the bullpen, and just like every other year, starting the bullpen, and I forget who it was, but I think Rich Hill definitely got called up. That he was started that year on the rotation. He definitely got called up that year.
Mhm.
So a couple of our starters got called up that year, and there was a couple of prospects in Double-A that they did not want to move up to Triple-A because they needed that year in Double-A on the rotation, like a full year in Double-A.
Sure.
So again, Alan Dunn, I'll never forget. He called me aside in the outfield one day, and he's like, "Dude, you're going to go into the rotation. You're going to be there, and you're the right guy for the job." And so, my first outing, I pitched. It was actually in Memphis,
Wow.
at my old stomping ground at the AutoZone Park,
Yeah.
and I pitched four scoreless, no hit.
Wow.
No hit. And they pulled me just because of pitch count.
Uh-huh.
That I hit my cap because I was in the bullpen, so I wasn't extended.
Mhm.
And then I go back out. The 5 days later, go back out, and I pitch 4 2/3, no hit, scoreless.
Wow.
And so that I just say that because that was my only no hitter in my whole career. Like as
Really?
I combined the no hitter. Like
Yeah.
um,
It counts.
that was my only way of getting a no hitter ever. And so, but it couldn't have been at a better time that I put those back to back starts, breaking into kind of that rotation in AAA, and
Wow.
and really from that point on, didn't really look back and started just having a nice season in the
Nice
rotation.
solid year. Yeah. What was your repertoire? What would you say your repertoire was pitch wise at this time in your career?
It was fastball command. The Cubs at the time just beat that in our heads. Fastball command.
Were you 4-seam, 2-seam? You were throwing a cutter?
I always wanted to throw a 2-seam. It did not move like a true 2-seam should,
Right.
like that sink run away. It never did. And so I would try to do it, and I would throw it down the middle, thinking it was going to break out to the corner, and that thing just stayed over the middle, and it went a long way. It went a long way. And so I just kind of stuck with the 4-seam, knowing I could hit the corners.
Yeah.
And
did you get any run on that or anything?
No, it was pretty straight. I would love to see like the TrackMan stuff, all of that.
Straight.
It's straight. It was straight. But what was I had the fastball command. That was always a strong point. But then the changeup. My changeup was by far
strong.
Even in like Lincoln Land, like that was the only way. Even Memphis, like that, the changeup, fastball command was always my go-to.
Yeah, lethal.
And then, like I said, that Rick Kranitz taught me that cutter. So now I got like the outside of the hat. All right, so facing, lefty facing a right-handed batter, I had that outside corner with the fastball changeup, and then I always needed something to keep him honest.
Yeah,
and that cutter. I never had the velocity of a 4-seam. Like they could turn that thing around.
Yeah.
But having that cutter really was able to allow me to have both sides of the plate. Even at 88, 80, 89.
What kind of did you have any action on that changeup? Was it doing anything?
Yeah, it was down and away. It was a great down and away changeup. Again to a righty. It's funny. In that rotation, they would always stack righties against me because that was kind of tradition.
Yeah.
You put righties versus a left-handed starter, and I was like, that's what I need. I need right-handed batters in the lineup. I really struggled versus lefties because I never had that breaking ball that I talked about. I never had that breaking ball that a left-on-left really struggle with. I never had that, and so when they would stack the lineup with righties, I'm like, yes,
nice,
thank you.
You guys don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, unless you have anything else to add about this AAA year, I think we're pretty close to this magic moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was again, we talked about the coaching staff was just phenomenal that year. And we had such that great chemistry. You talked about like the Ryan Terrio, the Buck Coates, the Augie Ojeda. I mean, just Giovanni Soto was having a phenomenal year. Like, just we were winning. We had a great chemistry. It was a lot of fun, and we go down to Round Rock, Texas, just kind of your traditional, road series. And I have to say, this is kind of where I was a little bummed because they took my start away from me.
Yeah.
And they gave it to, what was it? Miller?
Wade Miller.
Wade Miller.
Yep.
And they pulled it from me because he was making a rehab start.
Yep.
And again, I talked about not getting too high and too low, and I was bumming right here because I was on a roll, and they took it from me, and Wade he wasn't gonna have just one start. He was gonna have like two or three.
Oh man.
And they put it in my spot, and
man, thank you, Wade, for coming down.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And it definitely, but in my headspace, I was bumming right here because, I was like, man, I was going back to that utility guy, but but yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to go from here, or you want me to just keep going with that.
I sent you obviously the sequence of events that are all lining up here, and why don't you just keep rolling here, man, buddy? Just go.
So yeah, like I said, man, it was my day to pitch, but I was gonna back Wade up. I was like, fine, I've been this utility guy. I got this, and, I'll do it. Of course, I'll do it. And I'll never forget, I was in my room that night, and I get a call from Ryan Dempster and Rich Hill, and they're like, dude, it's happening. And we would always watch the games, like after the game, after our game, we'd always have the Cub games on TV, and we'd be watching them to see what was going on because we know most of them. And and then, it goes to the 9th inning, the 10th inning, the 11th inning, and then we're like, all right, we're gonna go to the hotel, go back, and whatever. And again, you turn it on when you get to the hotel, and you see the 13th inning, 14th inning, and I'm pitching the next day, so I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna get some sleep. And turned it off, and then I get this phone call late night from Rich Hill and Ryan Dempster, and he's like,
"What time is this phone call at?"
It was late. It was like, I want to say like midnight, 1 o'clock.
Wow.
And they're like, dude, it's happening. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, you don't know yet? And I'm like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And they're like, dude, you're getting called up. Like, you're getting called up. And I'm like, guys, you can't do that.
Cruel.
Yeah. You can't do that because I haven't heard anything at this point.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, well, shit, man. It's happening. So I'm like, well, we'll see. I haven't told anything. So they're super excited. They hang up. And at this point, I'm like, holy smokes! Like, I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I can't.
Who could sleep after that? Did you sleep at all?
I don't think so. It was not good if I did. And then next thing you know, it's 6 a.m. or 5:30 or 6 a.m. I get a knock on the call on the hotel door. And I'm yelling, I'm like, no, hey, I'm good. No service needed here. Like, I don't need any service.
Housekeeping.
Yeah, it's too early. Exactly. And they kept knocking. And finally, I get up and I go, and it was our manager. And he's like, Ryno, man, it's happening, dude. You're getting called up.
Oh, man.
You're going.
What's that feel like?
The whole reason was that they didn't tell me the next morning because they wanted me to sleep.
Really? Okay. Right.
They wanted me to sleep,
but your buddies ruined it for you.
They ruined it. They ruined that.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, pack your bags, and there's a limo going to be waiting out. They're actually already out there. Just get your bags and head out. And they're going to drive you over to Houston.
Wow. Ryno, if I can add one thing, I believe your buddy Rich Hill was used in that 18-inning game, and he was supposed to start the next day, but obviously couldn't. So your good buddy opening up a spot for you, which is mind-blowing as well, an amazing part of the story.
Yeah, that is 100% true. Yeah, I think he got the win, pitched the 17th and 18th or something like that.
Yeah.
And that way he couldn't pitch the next day. That's
Crazy.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
All right. So limo is there for you, man. What are you feeling in your heart, in your chest? Who are you calling first here? Like, let's start going through
I remember I go in and I call obviously my mom and dad, and they're like, guys, it's happening, man. Everything we kind of work for, and here we go. And I was like, you guys got to be there. Like, there's no question, you guys got to be there. And dad was like, Ryno, the game's at 1:00, like in Houston. I don't think there's any physical way, even if we get in a car and drive, if there's no flights to connect from Springfield to wherever to Houston. And so I'm like, well, at least it's on WGN. I know you guys will be there, right? And so really it was like, here we go. Like, love you guys, and hang up and go get in the limo. And then when I get in the limo, I'm like, all right, what do I do? Do I try to sleep because I didn't sleep?
You got like about 2 or 3 hours?
Yeah, 3 hours. Like, do I try to sleep? Do I, I can't sleep because I'm excited. Like, do I call a couple buddies?
Yeah.
So I start calling. I called the Canalers. I called Chad, obviously, and he's like, is your mom and dad going? I'm like, dude, we'll talk to them. It's just not possible. And right there, he was just like, he stopped me. He's like, really? They're not? And they're like, I gotta go. I'll call you later. And that was the last time I think I heard of Chad.
Perfect timing. I got a clip for you. You ready?
Yeah.
It's Chad. You ready?
All right. It? Yeah.
All right.
So Ryan called me in the morning. It was probably because I normally start work at 6 a.m. Still do. And at the time, I think he called me about 5:45 in the morning. He said, "Dude, I got the call up." And I was like, "What?
Where?"
I said, "Where?
You coming home?"
And he said, "I'm starting in Houston today." Like I think it was at 1:00, and it was like 7.5 hours away.
Yeah.
Or he's going to start this game, and I was like, "Really?" And I said, "Oh, your mom and dad got to be there." And he said, "Dude, I called them already." He said they tried to get tickets from St. Louis, from Lambert, and he said there's no way it's going to get here too late.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I said, I've got a client I'm getting ready to see here in about 15 minutes who actually has a King Air.
Kidding me.
Has a plane.
Dude,
I'm not kidding.
It is crazy how things line up. Some things are meant to be.
Exactly.
Wow, that gives me chills.
And so I'm like, let me talk to Bud Potter, who I actually saw this morning today. I know we're doing this interview today on a Tuesday, but the same guy. And so I went to train this guy, and I said, Bud, we got a predicament here. And he knew Ryan at the time, knew who he was, knew I was working with him. Said, Ryan got a call up to face Andy Pettitte in the Houston Astros today. And I said, his parents got to be there. Is there any way that we can borrow your plane? I knew his pilot, Michael.
Isn't that crazy?
Dude.
Is that crazy?
Dude.
Man.
Yeah. Dude.
Chad's all
That's just a testimony that his mind went right there. Like,
yeah. Jumped into action.
That he thought of that, and then, that someone wanted to do that for Chad.
Yeah.
So, man. And I didn't really know this was happening. I was all kind of like going behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I was just Go ahead.
I know Jason Knadler broke the story to 1450. And he called in that morning. They were like, "What's your source?" And he was like, "O'Malley's my source. My friend O'Malley just told me."
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it called, my sister and just a couple close people. But then it was like, man, it was just kind of like, all right, like I need to someone get my mind straight and just kind of like calm down. And I'll never forget this too, is as I'm cruising in and I asked the limo guy, I was like, roll down the screen or whatever. And I was like, hey, any chance you happen to know who's pitching for the Houston Astros today?
This is amazing.
And he's like, yeah, actually I do. It's Andy Pettitte. I'm like, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Andy Pettitte, Hall of Famer. Like, of course it is.
Dude.
So then, yeah. So yeah, just kind of roll up, finally get there, roll up. And I'll never forget this either. There's a golf cart kind of waiting for the limo to arrive. And threw the bags on the back of the golf cart. And I'll never forget this. He had my jersey, like literally hot off the press.
Wow.
I had my jersey in his hands, and he's like, "Man, I got to apologize. Like, there's no apostrophe. We didn't have an apostrophe, and we didn't have enough time to find one. So
That's
so I pitched that game with no apostrophe in my on my
no
jersey.
apostrophe.
Yeah,
that's great, man. I can't believe it. So what's it like seeing that Cubs jersey?
Oh man, I mean, just surreal. Like words can't describe, all of that. But it's just like, people are like, well, you're nervous, this and that, and it was like, it's something that you prepared for, your whole life, and luckily I didn't have like 2 days, a day, or even 3 days to. That they told me. I didn't really have time to think about what was happening. Yeah. And so I mean, I landed, went down there, and I went into Dusty Baker was the manager at the time. I went in the office. I mean, I met him in spring training, but it was just through like getting a call up for a spring training game, but never really interacted with him.
Yeah.
And so I went in and was like, well, I need to introduce myself, like Ryan O'Malley. I'm here to be, I'm your pitcher today.
I'm your new pitcher.
Yeah, and he's like, hey kid, dude, let's go have fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
gosh. So
and literally, I go, at the time they're unpacking my bag, and so I mean, really, it's a 1:00 game, so I mean, the things are happening fast. And so, of course, I see, Ryan Terrio and Rich Hill and Dempster, and like everyone's like high-fiving it, just like, here we are, man. We're in the big league. So kind of go around the locker room and do the thing. And really at that time, man, it's like time to get dressed and head out.
Yeah.
And so Michael Barrett was the catcher at the time. And it hadn't really. I don't even think I ever threw a bullpen to the guy. I don't think. We obviously talked. But never talked strategy. Never. Like I said, never threw a bullpen to him or anything. But I find myself like going down the tunnel to, the dugout, and I get there and I kind of come to the top of the steps, and I'm like, holy shit, here we go.
I can't do it.
So go out to the, just kind of do my routine. And next thing you know, I got Michael Barrett and Larry Rothschild was the pitching coach at the time. And go out and start the long toss and the bullpen, and get to the bullpen to do my typical bullpen thing. And next thing you know, the stadium's full, and I'm back in the dugout. And we're
Does this feel real? What is going on? I can't even imagine what emotions you're going through your mind at this point. Like, man.
I mean,
so
really,
fast.
there wasn't, because like I said, I alluded to, there just wasn't time to think about it. I just had to to put one foot in front of the other and go do the thing. And, it's like I said, it's something that I've done my whole life of just playing. And it kind of took the big stage out of the picture because I just had to live. I just had to,
I just had to live.
Yeah, just keep going.
Man. I just had to live.
Yeah. And so next thing you know, I go out. We didn't score. Go out there, and honestly, in my mind, I'm just like, I just want to hit. I just want Michael to catch the ball. Like I wasn't trying to hit a corner. I wasn't trying to. I was just like, dude, catch the ball. I don't want to throw it to the backstop. I don't want.
Yeah.
I just like hope he catches it. And as soon as that, pitch number one was across the plate, I don't remember if it was a ball or strike, but I was. It just there was. It was like, all right, here we go.
It's the same game that you've always played.
It's the same thing, and here we go.
I'm looking at the rosters on these teams. Some notables from this Cubs team: Derek Lee, Aramis Ramirez, Juan Pierre, John Mabry, Jock Jones, Michael Barrett, Carlos Zambrano. Was Greg Maddux there?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Let me. All right. So he was in spring training that year with us. I wasn't in big league camp, but like I said, when you get called up, he was in spring training. But he got traded midway through the season to the Dodgers.
Okay.
I actually don't think he was there at this time of the season.
Okay, you're obviously your buddy Rich Hill.
Yep.
I see Pryor and Wood on the roster.
No, they were both on the DL. Yeah.
That's pretty typical. And then Ryan Dempster. And then on the Astros, I'm seeing, Lance Berkman, Biggio, Preston Wilson, obviously Andy Pettitte, Roy Oswald. They had some names to be remembered for sure. So this game gets going, man. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
dude. And I'll never forget, you mentioned Lance Berkman. And I remember getting the ball back. I don't remember the first two or three guys got on or what, but I remember looking at the big screen and all I saw was like 40 home runs, 114 RBIs, Lance Berkman. And, remind you, he's a switch hitter. I'm a lefty. He's batting right-handed, which, again,
falls into your strength.
But it doesn't fall into the strengths of that field, that stadium.
Right, that short left.
Short left, and I'm like, holy smokes! Like, here we go.
No homers.
Yeah, and so this is a kind of a great part of this game and how it kind of panned out. So I'm thinking, away, fastball away, changeup away. I'm thinking the whole time, like that's the only way. And I'll never forget. I think first pitch, Michael Barrett puts the finger down, fastball inside. And I just shake it off. I'm like, I shake it off. And
I'm not ready.
Yeah, I'm like, no. First of all, you don't know me because we've never even had a bullpen together.
Right. This is all I got.
Yeah. Look, did you see the stats that I see on the scoreboard? Have you seen how close that fence is? Like fastball in, dude. So I shake it off. He puts it down again. He puts a fastball down inside again, and I shake it off again.
Shaking the vet off. Love it.
And so he calls timeout.
Yeah.
And he comes running out there, and he's like, "Dude, why are you shaking me off?" I'm like, "You put down a fastball inside," and he's like, "I know. Like I know how to get this guy out." I'm like, "I throw 88." He's like, "Dude." I think he said, "Kid." He's like, "Dude, hit the mitt. Just hit my mitt all day. Just hit my mitt. All right, I got you. Just just hit the mitt. That's all cool. I want you to do."
That's a cool moment,
dude. It totally was, and it settled me down. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna hit the mitt, dude.
Just trust him. Essentially, I'm gonna trust this guy. Yeah,
but trust him, and man, like I'll never forget. Like he pops it straight up on the infield, and
okay,
if this guy knows something. I'm like, from that day on, from that pitch on, man, like him and I were dialed in, and man, it was somewhat of a blur.
I'm sure.
A couple of things that I remember kind of throughout it. I think it was either the second inning or the fourth inning. Someone came over and told me, "Hey, he's like, hey, your mom and dad are here. They're right up there." And I was
Wow.
like, "Holy smokes!"
Yep. I believe they arrived just as the first inning was ending.
Okay.
Yep.
So that was cool. That also kind of gave me that feeling of comfort. And then I remember Michael Barrett after got Andy Pettitte out. He came over and gave me the ball in the dugout, and and he's like, I was like, what's this for? And he's like, this is your first strikeout. You struck out the pitcher, and I'm like, well.
Pettitte.
It was Andy Pettitte, but it was my first strikeout, and I'm like, I don't know if this is a compliment or what. Like, this is my first strikeout, but it was against the pitcher.
Yeah.
But actually, he was actually a decent hitting pitcher. But I vaguely remember that. And then, again, speaking of Michael Barrett, he hit the home run. He hit the only one run that we had that game. And he hit the home run that game to give us that lead, to allow me to get the win.
Got the dub, man. 8 innings, 0 earned runs, 5 hits, 6 walks, 2 Ks. And man, I crazy. Got the bat. First time batting in a while.
Yeah.
You know what? Oh, I'm gonna bust your balls here a little bit, man. I know I've always known you as a guy that could really swing it, and I don't think you gave your best showing up there, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a break. You're facing the future Hall of Famer, Andy Pettitte. Tell me what that was like.
You're right. I think I did strike out at least, probably both times, or maybe even all 3 times. But that first at bat, I know it's not in the scorebook, but I was like 3 inches from a double down the line in that first at bat.
That's right.
I smoked one down the line. And it was just foul, and I was like, "Oh man!" Of course, then I get a steady diet of breaking ball. Yeah. He's like, not today.
I was thinking going into the day, I was like, "There's no way they're gonna know about your past as a hitter." I was like, "They're gonna groove him a fastball, and O's gonna take him yard." And
dude,
more magical day, but
yeah, man. I mean,
still perfect.
I did smoke that, and it felt good, but unfortunately, it was foul. But we got to hit through the AA, AAA, pitchy. We got to hit.
I saw you. You had one bomb in the minors. I saw that.
I did. Chattanooga, Tennessee, man. I still remember that one.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I got one there. But yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I mean, what a day for my mom and dad to be there.
Yeah.
For Chad to be there, like Tony Kolovic, and he was there. Like just the kind of it was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool moment, no question. And at this point, got the win and got the an interview, and Zambrano gave me the shaving cream.
Got the pie
in the face, and got to hug Dad, give him the ball and the game ball, and it's something that I'll never forget. That's for sure.
What a moment! Hey, I've got another Larry O clip for you.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Here we go.
Take it easy on me.
It is. It's easier this time. It's still special. Okay. Hey, Larry, can I pause you 1 second?
Sure.
I want to just lead you here because I think this is a special moment. I think the father and son relationship is so special in baseball, so sacred. It's a tale as old as time. Dad's playing catch with their sons, batting practice. So you've obviously put in all the time with Ryan over the years with that. What is it like walking into Minute Maid Park and seeing your son achieving his lifelong dream, standing on the mound? That must have just been overwhelming.
Oh, it was overwhelming. I just, your heart's pumping 100 miles an hour, excited for him and worried for him. I told my wife, I just hope he has a good game and, doesn't get rocked. Yeah.
Didn't want you to get rocked.
It's funny he says that because, they're Chad and they're doing this whole thing with this private plane and he told me, he's like, dude, I'm not going to get there to the second inning. What if he gets smoked in the first inning and doesn't make out? And we don't even get to see him, see him play. So yeah, that was I think that was what he was alluding to. Is like, man, I want to at least get him to see him play in the second inning.
Don't get rocked.
Yeah,
Isn't that great?
that's
Dude,
awesome.
is there anything more that you remember about those 8 innings, man, that you could bring back? Just feelings, anything?
Like I said, man, it was really a blur. But I remember just being humbled, being out there with the opportunity, and just like being in the moment. Like, and it wasn't too big. It wasn't just trying to be in the moment. And I remember at one time, like later in the game, and I got this line drive literally right back at me. I think it was like Lance Burke, or one of the B's anyway. I mean, hit a ball. This is how hard it was. It hit back at me. I mean, hit my glove. Like I was just trying to protect my face, and it hit off the heel of my glove and bounced back to Michael Barrett.
Wow.
He got the ball and threw him out for an out. That's how hard that thing was hit back at me.
Yeah.
So again, I just try to be in the moment, and I remember the bees, all the bees. I don't know if you remember, like they would
Killer
like make
bees.
the killer bees. I remember that being, and Biggio actually didn't start that game.
Really?
But he came in a pinch hit, and he actually got a hit. So I'm one of his 3,000.
Really?
For sure. Yeah, one of his 3,000.
That's interesting.
So just yeah, man, it was just a surreal moment. Felt like it was all worth it, and yeah.
I can't even. So I'm going to take you through some of these quotes that I saved from people that I talked to about your debut here. We'll start with Alan Dunn. He called it divine intervention. He said, from now until the time the game is over, Ryan O'Malley's name will always say MLB by it. No one can ever take that from him. No one is more deserving. Bull. Things like that just don't happen. So many things had to go right for this to happen. It just goes to show you that good things happen to good people. And literally every single person I talked to, that phrase, good things happen to good people, they all said the exact same thing about you. Coach Woe, so impressed at the odds he overcame to make it. He said he had tears in his eyes during your debut, and good things happen to good people. Chad, the whole thing was divine intervention. A movie could be made about it, and we're going to circle back to that movie thing because I know there's something there. Larry O, it was an emotional, fast-paced morning. He said you called him and said, Dad, I haven't slept a wink. I'm full of adrenaline. He was so impressed with the private car picking them up and taking them to the game and the radio. And he said you gave him the game ball and you gave him the biggest hug afterwards. And he goes, I got pie in my face, Major League pie, and I loved it. Larry Owens, good things happen to good people. Jason Knadler, good things happen to good people, man. And I've got a whole list of Q&A here that we cannot move on past this until I get some of these questions asked to you. If that's okay.
All right.
Is that
Yeah.
cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've got a Q&A at the end, but this was like a short Q&A here on this moment because I think there's just so many intricacies. And again, thanks to Joey Albsmeyer and Aper for helping me kind of construct some of these questions. So what was it like sitting? So for the ninth, so your day was done after the 8th inning, correct?
Yeah.
What is that 9th inning like, sitting in the dugout, soaking it in? Like, I did my job. I'm about to win this game. It looks like. What is happening? Like, just soaking in that moment. Can you?
I think I was more nervous that 9th inning because I wanted to win.
Okay.
I wanted to win, and I didn't have the control at that point. I was out of the game, and I didn't have the chance to be out there.
Yeah.
So I was probably the most nervous there in that 9th inning. But Bobby Howry came in to pitch the 9th, and got it done. I think 1, 2, 3 for him, and got it done. And I'll not forget this, that after the game in the locker room with Bobby, he's like, Ryno, he didn't know me as Ryan. He's like, Ryan, that was the most nervous I've been since my debut because I did not want to give up anything for you to not get that win. So that was a pretty cool moment for Bobby and I.
Yeah, I got to add a quote in from Len Casper, the broadcaster.
Oh yeah.
He had a really cool quote. Well, first of all, I didn't realize that you were one of 8 pitchers since 2000 to throw at least 8 innings with 0 runs allowed in their major league debut. That's rare air. But he said, so about the broadcasting booth, he said at the end, he hugged his dad and he had shaving cream all over his face, and his dad had shaving cream on his face, and he's crying. And we got really emotional in the booth. Like right when we signed off, Bob and I were basically crying. So, I mean, people are feeling this. This is an emotional moment. Springfield was absolutely buzzing for you. I've never felt that kind of energy for some person, a support. It was like, and obviously I'm plugged into the baseball community, so those are my people, but it transcended Cubs cards. It didn't matter. It was just like, you were like Springfield's first son there for a while. I used to call you the Prince of the City. But it was so special, man. I think you kind of already answered it, but what was it like seeing your name? I guess you already did answer it. There's a question of what was it like seeing your name on a big league uniform? Do you have anything else to say on that, or you pretty much kind of answered that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just again, you think about what your mom and dad, like I talked about, like sending us to Griffin and just doing everything they could, and just kind of brought all that to like kind of all worth it. Like even my sister, she always, like for years, she was like so mad at me because all of her summer vacations were based around Ryan's baseball. And so she's like, man, I lost all my childhood summer vacations because of you. And, we had a boat growing up as a little kid, and we ended up having to sell the boat because, we were always traveling for summer baseball. And I felt like she did. She was kind of what my parents sacrificed for the baseball side of things. And, but she was one of my biggest fans too. So,
yeah,
just seeing that made it all worth it.
That's really cool, man. When you got there, I mean, obviously your buddy Rich Hill was there. Who went out of their way to be cool to you? Who was inviting? Who made you feel welcome on that roster?
Yeah, obviously Rich, but that was but some guys that didn't know that were getting to know. Obviously Michael Barrett, him and I, after that had a connection like no other. He actually, after that season, he came. He was from Georgia, big deer hunter, and so I'm like, man, if you like deer hunting, you haven't hunted any kind of deer until you come up and see, Illinois deer. So he actually came up and spent some time deer hunting with me that off season, which was pretty cool. And then was somebody that was super cool as well was Ryan Dempster.
Cool.
And that guy he's all time, man. He is all time, and he's still in baseball. He's a big part of the Cubs organization. He is a personality like no other. He is a super guy. And remember, you got to wear a suit in big leagues.
Yeah.
And he went out and got me a suit. And
that's awesome.
he just those things that you hear about, some of those stories like that. Ryan Dempster was definitely that guy for me, and ended up getting to stay on the roster, and he invited me to all these big league dinners, and you're going to Mastro's and Ruth Chris, and he's picking up the tab, and he completely that guy for me. Ryan Dempster is all time for me.
That's awesome, man. What when did you find out after the start that you were going to be staying? Or did you have any idea?
No, shoot. I had no idea. I remember coming in after like the interviews and stuff. We're heading back to Chicago. That was the last game, and I had no idea. I mean, I had no idea what was going on after that. And I remember them pouring pitchers of beer on my head, just celebrating. And the Cubs didn't have a good year going that year.
No,
it was
not.
not good. And so that was, for them to celebrate like that was pretty cool. And the only thing I remember, the first I knew that I was going back to Chicago was that the traveling secretary brought over the meal money, the traveling meal money for me.
Yeah.
So it was like an envelope full of cash that I was headed back to. Wow. I was going on the road, and I was headed back to Chicago. That was the first I knew. No one else told me what was happening.
Can you remember the interviews at all, or those a blur too?
It was a pretty much a blur. I mean, it was just like, what is what does this moment mean? And how does it feel? And having your parents here, and I got to see my parents, after the game for a little bit. But it was it was fast moving.
Quick.
We're loading up our bags. We're getting on the charter to head to the airport, and it was all happening super fast. So it's going,
So now we're on a plane back to Chicago. Is this what's
Yeah.
happening? Man,
My first big league flight. I'll never forget that either, man.
Let's go. Can we talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
what's that like?
it's like, you think about like the big league spread or like the locker room, but I mean, the charter flight is next level. Everyone's got their own row. I'll never forget, like Juan Pierre was a part of that team. He's an all-time pro in my book, that guy.
Yeah.
And he kind of had his routine. He's definitely a routine guy. So I remember him he had his spot. He had, the servers had his, I think it was like a cranberry juice. He didn't drink, if anything. But I remember like warm cookies and milk they served, and like steak, really? And I'm like, this is crazy.
Good life, huh?
And then I remember going, kind of using the restroom, going in the back of the plane where all the pros are. I mean, the veterans are at. And it was back when there wasn't much Wi-Fi on the flights.
Yeah.
And guys are still playing cards, and I'll never forget.
Oh, yeah. Old school.
Yeah, guys, I mean, surrounding like this card table. It was a big, big crowd. And I alluded to the travel money was like, cash. And so I remember seeing this card table back there. It was just piles of these, they were $100 bills, just piles of them.
Real money, yeah.
It was real money. I was like, dude, this is. I can't believe. I mean, we talked a little bit about like the minor league where you're not making nothing, and
right.
You go back there and they're like gambling with $100 bills and screaming and yelling, and I'm kind of like looking on the floor for like see if any of the hundreds fall on the ground, and I was gonna snatch it up, but I just remember I was like, man, this is what the Bull Durhams of the movies that people see. And I'm like, dude, this is like, here we are. Like, this is it.
Man, okay. So we arrived in Chicago. Who are we staying with? Where are we living?
So I get like a week or two of a hotel, like to get settled in.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do that. It's like, I forget the name of the hotel, whatever,
There's something nice, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was all right. It was good. And there's some other guys that had gotten called up that were staying there. So some of the guys that I'm familiar with, we're in the same hotel, and we're traveling back and forth from the yard every day to and from. And yeah, man, just like loving, like I always loved Chicago, the city, in the summertime. Sure. In my opinion, there's no better city that Chicago in the summertime, man. And
full of life, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm obviously, my parents come up to games, my sister, and this and that. And I got word that I was gonna start again. We had a day off, so it was not the fifth day. I think it was the sixth day, kind of back there. So I got notified that I was gonna pitch again. And I tell you, we talked about where you're nervous. Like I was way nervous the second go around than I was the first, just because I got 5 days and people calling you. And
oh yeah, I bet your phone is exploding.
Yeah, so that. But again, I'm just preparing, doing my thing, and
hey Ryno, what was it like? What was it like walking into the Cubs locker room for the first time and seeing your locker?
So it actually wasn't the first time. I'll have to kind of tell you this story. So after the 2005 season, my buddy Rich Hill obviously is in the big leagues in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, being a Cub fan my whole life and being a Rich Hill fan, I go up after our 2005 season to go up and see him. And again, he's in that same hotel that I was. Like he's called up, he's living in that hotel, and he's like, Ryno, come up, stay with me, whatever. And so I did that. I went, stayed with him, watched him pitch a couple games, hung out, with the guys. So that was kind of like a great intro, and he invited me down to the clubhouse.
Okay.
So that was like a great intro of like, all right, man, like, it kind of gave me that, all right, next year, man, like this was kind of, it put that taste in my mouth of like, to be here. This is what I want.
Yeah.
So that was that 2005 into the Cubs season, big league season. So it wasn't actually I'd already been there. I'd
Okay.
already been down the clubhouse.
Gotcha.
So,
but I'm talking about like seeing your own personal locker, Ryan O'Malley locker.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
was all your stuff is laid out in there for you? Like, how does that work?
Oh yeah. I mean they you're not touching your bags, like they're taking care of you.
What did you keep from your big league experience?
So I've got the glove I used that day, that season. I've got the game ball. I've actually got my Cub batting helmet, and I know I didn't do much with it, but I still have it.
That's great, dude.
My girls put it on time to time.
Yeah.
I also got my jerseys.
Sure.
I've got the bats that I used. I think that's about it.
Okay. What was the environment of that big league clubhouse like? Is it different than like a AAA?
Oh yeah, it's different. I mean, you got veteran guys with families. It's different. I mean, you got some serious pro like Derek Lees of the world, and I said Juan Pierre. It's different. It's more like it's not some of the young guys in Double A where it's like more of a team, like rah like your college clubhouse. It's definitely a pro environment. Yeah. I mean, there's some moments where it was you had everybody together, but no, it was I mean, you could tell it was the big leagues where it was the real deal.
Man, Ryno, what's it like playing in front of crowds like that?
Man, you really don't. It doesn't really come into play.
Really interesting.
No, I always it's kind of a cheesy baseball movie, but for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Well, you know how he it's like clear the mechanism when he's doing like you really don't. Some of the big league or the AAA stadiums that there was 19,000 in like Des Moines.
Yeah.
It was some big crowds. So I don't know. It didn't really come into play for me that much.
Okay. Did you get to take BP on the field?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, how was that?
I got some. Yeah. It was great. I mean, it was fun. And being in the National League in that era, still batting. Zambrano, that guy was amazing. That guy was
yeah.
I mean, both sides of the plate hitting just bombs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you're hitting with those guys, but there's some other guys that could swing it. But I got a couple out in Wrigley.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I think we can move on to your next start here, and I've got a few more questions, but they'll be more kind of like all encompassing after your next start. So, next start here, we're going to go up against Jamie Moyer. Is that right?
Jamie Moyer, yeah. Probably two Hall of Fame lefties.
Right. Where's my notes?
The Phillies.
Yeah, Phillies. Yeah. So take us through that. How'd that start feel? Obviously, you said you had more time in between to think about things, a little more nervous. Yeah. So some of the notables: Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, J. Roll.
Yeah.
Pat the Body Burrell, Bobby Abreu, Aaron Rowan, Shane Victorino.
The Flying Hawaiian. Yeah.
They had a team.
They had a team.
Swing it.
They had a team. No question about it. I remember. So I took the L. Was it the L? Is that what they call it in Chicago? The train. Anyway, the train from. I took it to Wrigley that night, and it was just fun. Like seeing all the fans like headed to the stadium. It definitely kind of got me juiced up. And in fact, I ran. You talk about a lot about Jason Connect. I ran into Jason my walk from the train to the clubhouse.
You kidding me?
I kid you not, man. I ran into Jason
just randomly.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was there and for the game and ran into him. And he's like, dude, this is it, Ryno. Just go do it, man. So that was cool. And it did definitely. I feel like there was a tremendous support. Like there was a ton of people
The
from
city loves you, man.
Springfield.
Springfield
Yeah,
loves you.
they were
Springfield
there,
loves you.
man. They were there. That's for sure. No question. My grandma got to be there.
Is this the same grandma that you told you were going to
Yeah,
pitch at Wrigley?
yeah,
Oh
dude.
my gosh, that is crazy.
Yeah, my
Wow.
grandma was there. My
Full circle.
sister.
Okay.
I remember my uncle. He's a diehard Cardinal fan. He's no longer with us. He's a diehard Cardinal fan. Big Uncle Mike, Big O.
Mhm.
And he always told me, he's like, like all through my minor leagues, he would never put a Cub hat on. He's like, no. He's like,
Won't do it.
but he's like, you ever make it to the big leagues, he'll put one on. And sure enough, he had one on that day,
Wow.
and he was there. So just cool stuff like that is what I remembered early on. And then again, it was a unique environment because the bullpen is right on the field, right next to the fans there. So I just
Yeah.
remember a lot of some of my buddies, yelling at me, which
Wow.
was cool.
What a surreal moment.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So
friendly confines. Here we are.
yeah, man. I mean that was amazing just to be able to grow up a Cub fan. Pitching that day in Houston was obviously awesome, but to be able to pitch at Wrigley was all time.
For sure.
All time.
Yeah.
It was night game, 40,000.
I can't.
It was really cool.
Yeah. So can you take us through that start?
Yeah, so it was actually going all right. I remember I think I gave up a run or two kind of early on. But wasn't getting hit hard. It was kind of like a double down the line that kind of got past Matt Merton. I remember down the left field line and kind of scored a couple runs, but wasn't getting hit. Again, like Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, some big name hitters.
Boppers.
Yeah, man, was just kind of doing the thing. And I remember Jamie Moore. I'm like, all right, man, this is the time I'm going to get a hit, man. I'm going to get Jamie Moore.
I'm going to get Jamie Moore.
Dude, that guy he made me look so bad.
Throwing 79.
Yeah, and wow, that guy's got some movement, and I know he was throwing changeups to me, and so tip my hat to he wasn't, he was doing his thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, and then it's kind of where it came to probably the toughest part, man, because I didn't really have any injuries throughout my whole career. Never. College, pro, no injury, and I think it was the sixth inning. I think I was losing 3-2 or something like that, and I threw this pitch, and it was really high. And I'm like, I don't miss that bad typically. Yeah. And then they gave me the ball back, and I didn't like the ball or something. I lobbed it back, and I felt this really sharp pain in my elbow. And I was like, man, that I've never felt that before.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, nothing is taking me off this mound.
My arm's gonna fall off before it.
Yeah, no possible way. And so I go out and I throw another pitch, and again it was super high, and it was that pain again. And I'm like, and so then I was doing like the thing with your arm, kind of moving it around, and Henry Blanco was the catcher. Michael Barrett didn't catch that game, and he calls time and comes out. I was like, "What's up, kid?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I don't know. Something's up my elbow." And so then, of course, he calls the staff out, and really that was it, man. It was, they didn't want to move forward with me to stay out there, and it was the right call. I was hurt, but again, I wasn't coming off of my own power.
Yeah.
So, man, you talk about like extreme highs of like, dude, I'm in the big leagues. It's happening
so fast.
I didn't really care about my arm. I was just like so disappointed, and we all know it's about opportunity, and I had the opportunity to get, and I had it, and I was taking advantage of it, and then
Gone quickly.
gone. It was gone. And I was like, I'll recover from that. Like, I'm not worried about my arm. Like, I'll recover from this, whether it's surgery or just the Chad Marshy, whisper. Like, I'm not worried about that.
But will this opportunity arise again?
That was it, man. And I was just like, something in my gut that I was like, man, that was it.
That was my shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've talked about it. At least I've read it in multiple articles that you kind of said you never thought you had top of the line stuff,
I didn't.
Right. Yeah. So the stars did have to align in some way. So you were feeling more the heaviness of like, man, this opportunity kind of popped here. Was it? I'm glad that I got to have this opportunity and still do it, or were you feeling bitter towards this at this moment, or?
I mean, a lot of mixed emotions, but I was always just super grateful that I got the opportunity. Like Alan Dunn said, like you always have that MLB next to the name.
Yeah.
So no one will ever be able to take that away. And I trust in my God that, that was my plan. And
I love that. There you go.
Yeah. Like who knows? Something worse could have happened, or that was the plan, man.
Yeah, that was the plan.
I'm completely happy with it. I'm good with it.
At peace.
Totally. Like, I mean, for me to be there, the stars align. Like,
yeah, man,
big time, dude, big time for me to even get the chance. So, completely good with it.
What was the diagnosis?
So I had a strained flexor tendon. I thought it was Tommy John. Everybody thought it was like surgery, Tommy John. But it ended up being a strained flexor tendon. So it's what pulls your hand, down, like through the fastball, through the pitch. And I was like, man, never. It was never injured that whole time, and what was different. And I just kind of I think it was just the adrenaline of the major leagues, like just the adrenaline of you kind of alluded to the fans. Like I never really felt that it affected me mentally, but just the adrenaline of like, man, this is the big stage, and giving it a little extra.
You feel like you're maybe reaching for a few more velo
flies, if you think back, Blake, like the season before, I was mainly a reliever. I had that long season of not much of an off season. Well, I'm sorry. I guess I did have an off season in 2005, but just not being a full-time starter of throwing 100 pitches, that long, or for that, that in that type of a setting. And so, I don't know. I always kind of think back to like what happened, but that's the only thing I can think of.
Okay, interesting. So did you stay with the club the rest of that year?
Yeah, I did. I stayed there the rest of the year, and
big league living, baby.
Yeah, and I, oh my gosh.
So how much longer was it? Like another month or so, about?
Yeah, it was almost 2 months.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I tell you, I'm drawing a blank on the GM. Is Jim? Shoot. That's terrible of me, but he was a super nice guy, because he's like, Ryan, I want you to stay here. You deserve this. You deserve to be here.
Yeah.
I want you, because he could have sent me home, like, dude,
Yeah, for sure.
But I remember I was in Cincinnati, and he pulled me aside, and he's like, I want you to stay here. I want you to be part of the team. So
you were traveling with him and all that?
Oh yeah, I traveled the rest of Pittsburgh, Philly, Cincinnati, St. Louis. Because that was a big, like, a bummer, because my third game would have been pitching in St. Louis.
Oh my gosh! Wow, I think the whole city of Springfield would have been there.
Oh man, so that was a bum, going to St. Louis and missing that start and being hurt. Yeah, that was a bum. But I mean, even after the Wrigley game, I tell you, like there was a ton of fans there, a ton of people there, and we rented out this this bar. A bunch of my buddies. I don't even know how it came about, but we were all there and kind of celebrating. I was in a tough mental space just because I was bumming.
Sure.
but it was so cool. Everybody there, like, was just so happy for me that,
Yeah.
you know, to be there and to see me there, and which, you know, really helped me. It really helped my space of like what was going on. So
Sure. Yeah. People are still supporting you, still loving you.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So season ends. We're coming back. Are you? We're going into an off season here, obviously getting ready. So no surgery on this elbow. There's nothing torn.
So yeah, I mean that whole month and a half that I was up there, I was getting great treatment by the staff, and you know,
Off with you were having
kind of rehabbing.
Yeah, we were talking about your elbow. It did not need surgery, but you were rehabbing.
Yeah, it did need surgery. You know, obviously saw the team doctor. It did swell up. It did get, you know, kind of black and blue. Did swell up, but you know, just had great treatment from, you know, the Cubs there. They treated me with the utmost respect, and you know, just working on it, and felt like it was trying to get better. We were doing all the right things, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't coming back. And
really, okay. So was it never the same after this?
Yeah. I mean, so that's kind of like the $1 million question. Was it ever the same? You still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it ever the same? So I ended up getting a second opinion. It definitely wasn't, you know, Tommy John it wasn't torn. You know, it did start to turn the corner, you know, that off season. It did start feeling, you know, much better. Again, got the Chad whisper. We were doing some different things, getting strong again. And yeah, I felt like it did get back. I felt like it did 100% feel strong again.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I just did the whole off-season thing with Chad, and got stronger, got the body going, and did the typical off-season, and got a major league spring training invite to go back with the Cubs. And
let's talk about that. I was
like, yeah.
How was the big league spring training, bud?
Oh, dude, it's and you get a taste of it when you get called up, you know, to help out with the team for some just in case innings and stuff. But
yeah,
being a part of big league camp was great. But I tell you, like, I think it was either my first or my second bullpen, I kind of strained my back.
Really?
Yeah, dude. And so I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, again, that opportunity, you get big league camp, you had that, you come off that really nice year, you get, you know, you feel like your arm's back. And then I strained my back, and it just kind of put me out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And so, dude, again, it was just opportunity. It just set me back. And now the big, you know, I'm thinking like these guys think I'm injury prone. Like,
oh, right. Yeah.
And it was like, dang, you know, it was a tough spot. Like, I get a big league camp, I'm here, like,
right,
dang.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I fight through it, go, you know, do the whole thing, and recover and come out of it. And I actually stayed decently late into spring training. I think it was one of the later cuts that, you know, that sent me to AAA. They made the AAA team that year as a starter.
Nice.
Okay. So I was like, you know, and this is kind of where things got interesting, I guess, is, you know, my back's fine, my arm's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing, Alan Dunn, you know, it kind of comes back to, you know, him again. He got promoted to the big leagues with the Baltimore Orioles, so he left the Cubs organization.
Okay.
And
so there goes the guy that's really in your corner in a very big way.
There goes my guy, and not I mean, the corner's one thing, you know, but I made the team, you know, and so I didn't necessarily need the guy to fight for me like I did that year in 2006. But what Alan done, man, that guy could get a guy prepared. Okay. And our work ethic together, the preparation, that guy would put on he would put on catching gear.
Really?
Oh, dude, he would get on catching gear and catch flat grounds and long toss. And
Not many coaches are doing that.
I mean, chest protectors, shin guards, face mask, catching
That's
catching
awesome.
mitt.
Yeah.
And like that, him and I we prepared. And so I was always I was mentally strong because I was physically prepared.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love that.
And he was gone, man. And I did not have that. And this pitching coach was like the complete opposite of like hands on. He'd never even put a glove on, let alone gear.
Really?
So it was a complete different vibe of preparation. And this guy was kind of a jokester, and he's definitely not serious Alan Dunn. Like all business. It was more of like big league clubhouse and kind of a jokester, atmosphere, keep it light.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I had a hard time, with
just
that.
Didn't vibe with you perfectly.
Yep.
Gotcha.
But I actually had a decent start to the year. But man, it just started spiraling. It started spiraling in that 2007 season.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, like I do feel like I came back because I started the year pretty strong.
Yeah.
But then that preparation of not having Alan done and a couple of tough games, and it started spiraling on me.
Right.
And really never could get the spiral to stop, man.
Yeah. Eventually,
unfortunately,
we get sent down eventually.
Yeah. So finally, I mean, it got really bad. And so they sent me to Double-A to work with, another pitching coach, just kind of like, hey, clear your mind, go have a fresh start. And
now, was that deflating for you, or were you looking at that as a fresh start?
I was totally looking at a fresh start because I was scuffling. I mean, I was in a bad spot in the end of that year mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, yeah, let's go get it right. And even went down there and couldn't get it right.
So at this point, are you feeling like, man, just a year ago, you get this divine intervention, you end up in the big leagues. And is it feeling like it's slipping away from you now?
Oh yeah, it is. It totally is. And again, I don't, it's really, obviously I look back and like try to put a finger on something. And I don't know if it was the injury. I don't know if it's, the change of the coaches. Cause I was, throughout this whole, journey with you here, that was one thing that was always consistent with me is whether it was, all the way back to Athens and the Oath of Davis and, Wojcicki and Coach Krasik and Bull and, even Dave Anderson, Larry Owens and Alan Dunn. And, it was one after another of just great scenarios of a coaching standpoint. And, this year it was just different. And, the injury bug and a little bit, and I don't know. It just can't really put my finger on it.
Right. Okay. So we go down to Double-A and it doesn't really stop. It's not a great year for you overall.
No, it's not.
What is that? How are you feeling going into this off season? What happens in the off season?
Well, it was just like, let's go home to Springfield. And I think this year might be the year that I was living with Chad, and we're like, dude, let's get this thing right.
Yeah.
And again, prepared like crazy. And I get invited back to Cubs spring training because at this time, once you get called up to put on the 40-man roster, the active roster, and then I got taken off. That after that year of 2006, they took me off the roster, but they gave me a big league invite. So now I'm kind of like that free agent.
Yeah.
In 2008, every year you're kind of a free agent, and so I did get invited back to Cubs spring training. But man, a lot had changed. Like that pitching coordinator that left that took me to Puerto Rico that year. He was now the bullpen coach in the big league, so he was not in the minor leagues anymore.
Yeah.
Alan Dunn was gone, man. It was just kind of some of your supporters, some of your comfort zone that I
Yeah.
I could, I might have needed, to get me back on track. It wasn't there anymore.
Right.
And had a rough spring training, man. Rough.
Yeah. Just wasn't going well for you.
No, it just wasn't.
Did you make it out of spring training?
I know I got released. That spring training.
Can you take us through that? What
Yeah,
that's
man.
like?
I mean, again, after having a tough year and not having a very good spring training, I was like, man, this is the first year I didn't have a good spring training. And guys did, and I get it. I get it. And I still wasn't done though, Blake. I didn't feel like I had a sour taste in my mouth of like the way it ended.
Sure.
And but at that time, at the end of spring training is probably the worst time to get released because
rosters are full.
Rosters are full. Everyone's healthy, going strong, and it's probably the worst time to be released. And so, there was I'm drawing a blank on their name, but they had people from Springfield again, man. People from Springfield are just so supportive, and they had a place in Mesa. I'm not in Mesa, but in Scottsdale that I stayed the year before in spring training. I stayed that year in spring training there, and I asked her. I was like, "Hey, can I continue to stay here? I want to stay sharp." And she let me stay there.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I got to stay at the spring training facility, and although I was released, but they're like, "Yeah, you can work out here," and so I stayed sharp and. Nothing really came of it, so I came home, and it was tough, man. It was like, all right, what do we do now?
Yeah, is the dream over?
Yep, exactly. A lot's going through your head. Is the dream over? Do you want to keep playing? What are you going to do after this? This is all you've ever done.
Sure.
So I had mentioned Dan Callahan was a big part of. I always thought I never got to play for him, but it was always a guy that I respected a lot.
Sure.
And so I called him. At this point, you just start calling, your connections and working for yourself of like, hey, what's the possibilities? And
for those of you that don't know, Dan Callahan, rest in peace, was the longtime head coach of SIU Carbondale Division I program and the MVC Springfield High graduate. I believe he played pro ball as well. I don't know the specifics of that, but a great guy. So was his dad, Gene Callahan, as well.
Yeah, just great family. Great people, and they had a really close friend that was I think it was the farm director with the White Sox, and Dan's like, I'll absolutely call. His name was Kurt Champion was his name, and called him and put my name in the hat and vouched for me, and nothing happened kind of right away, but so then I signed with the Schaumburg
Flyers.
Yep,
of the Northern League.
Yep, and
independent baseball.
Yeah, independent ball. I was like, I decided I wasn't ready. I wasn't done yet, so I signed with them. And again, a family friend of my uncle, he lived there and had a beautiful home, and kind of like that host family feel again.
Yeah,
and went up there and didn't even start the season and got a call from the White Sox. No, yeah. We didn't even. The season didn't even start. I think I was only there like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
and get a call from the White Sox and go to Double-A with the White Sox.
Birmingham.
Yeah, Birmingham. Yeah.
I got a question here. Was the Jordan bus still there?
No,
it was gone. It was gone by that time.
There's pictures of it on the wall there, but no Jordan bus.
Jordan bus was gone.
Gone.
All right, so we end up. Yeah. That's amazing. You get another shot here. We get sent to Double-A, Birmingham Barons. A very historic organization, league. How'd this year go for you?
It was all right. Was in the rotation. Started. Had some nice starts. Very familiar with the Southern League. After being in it a handful of years.
Yeah.
I was doing all right. I think I won. I know I won my first game and was doing all right. Again, it was a great clubhouse guy, some really cool young and up and coming guys. I felt like could pour into a little bit. They looked up to me for, being in the big leagues and the little that I was there. And it was a cool atmosphere. These guys, it was some good guys. And we had a good summer. And so then spend the whole year there.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of all right, what do we do from here?
Right. So you're 28.
Yep.
At this time in Double A.
Yep.
Time's ticking.
Yep. And so I go back to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I see that.
I go back to Puerto Rico, and I was in the rotation, but it was not going well. It's still got just the struggle bus.
Hey,
just
is this when you tried to change your arm slot?
This is. So I was down there, and I'm like struggling. So I get out of the rotation. They put me in the bullpen, and then again, they bring me in to face these lefties, and I'm like, man,
I'm not a lefty specialist.
I'm never this guy. I was never this guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, well, maybe I need to become this guy. And that's when I was like, dude, I'm going to drop down.
Right.
Maybe this is the path.
Sure.
And I started doing it, and I really liked it. And was I was doing all right with it.
Yeah. Were you 3/4 sidearm?
I felt like I was way down there. It feels way down there.
Right. Even a couple inches from the top feels
exactly. Exactly. So I don't ever. I think it was about a 3/4. I don't think I ever got below, because you really try to. What I found out is if you go too low, it's more of like a rise ball, or you try to get it to go up and then back down to kind of have that sink.
Okay.
But if you stay above like the, that line, then you'll have that downward.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm trying to figure all this out, and the White Sox recognize that, and they're like, all right, let's do this. Let's bring you back as this guy. So I go back to So I go to spring training and actually have a decent spring training until literally like the last outing of spring training, and I get hammered, Blake. I mean, I like I said, I was having a good spring training. I even get some call ups to the to fill in for the big league team, and did fine. And I'm telling you, I don't know what it was. Maybe a God thing again. Like, dude, I think I gave up 5-6 runs. I couldn't get an out.
Yeah.
And my dad was there. I remember this, and we kind of looked at each other like, whoa. And
yeah.
And I still thought I was going to make the team. I still thought I was going to at least make the AA, maybe AAA team as the left-handed guy. And didn't. Man, I got released like literally the last day of spring training.
Was that a hard conversation? Did that actually feel like the real end, or did you feel like there was more?
No, it felt like the end.
Yeah.
It felt like the end, because I was like the sidearm guy, which I was never guy. I'm like, all right, man, they didn't like it. Again, I'm back in that position where everyone's roster's full.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do here?
Now, yeah, was this a crushing moment for you, or did you feel like, okay, I'm at peace with this? I mean, some people struggle deeply when the game is over, and I did. It was part of my personality, who I was, and like that can be a very strange moment when that jersey's not on your back anymore.
Yeah, obviously a lot of mixed emotions, but those last 2 years were pretty painful for me, and so gotcha. I was ready to be done with that pain. And like you mentioned, I'm 28, almost 29, and I'm like, all right, man, I feel that I could have continued on, of whether go back to independent ball, figured out maybe some of the sidearm stuff, and I could have done that. And maybe get back in the minor leagues again, and who knows? I always feel like maybe I could have figured out that sidearm thing if I would have gave it a little bit longer.
Yeah,
but I didn't. And I at the end of the day, I was fine with it. I really was. So I go home. Again, my parents super supportive, but kind of looking at the crossroads here of like, all right, man. Luckily I got my degree at Memphis, so I got, I feel good about but I had no idea what was next.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, Alan Dunn strikes again, man.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So like I said, he was in the big leagues with the Orioles, but Scott Service, a guy named Scott Service, he was our catching coordinator with the Cubs when I was there for the majority of the time, and he was a catching coordinator, so he was like catching bullpens, and he always like, I don't know, he would always kind of go out of his way to Ryno, I just appreciate you and your work ethic and your
Yes.
mindset, and
Sure.
he just kind of always gave me that wink. And so he was now the farm director with the Texas Rangers,
Okay.
and I get a phone call from him, and kind of in the first couple of weeks at home, or
Yeah.
first month anyway. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh man, he's calling me, for a pitching job,
Wrong.
He's like, Ryan, I heard you got released. He's like, you ready to hang it up and become a pitching coach? I think you'd be amazing at it. And I'm like, well,
That's like
I
the
was
Bull
thinking,
Durham moment, man. That's
Yeah.
like Bull Durham when they tell Crash he should be a coach.
Yeah, I was like, oh shoot, man, I thought I was gonna get another shot, but listen, I'm there, I'm there, mentally, and he's like, I connected with Alan Dunn, and he's like, there's no better guy to be a pitching coach, and
Beautiful.
and there you go. I go back out to Arizona with the Texas Rangers to be the rookie ball pitching coach.
Wow, starting your career so pretty quick.
Yeah, it happened. I think it. I mean, again, not having the dates in front of me, but it did happen pretty quick. Yeah.
Okay, so from what I think I know, were you with the Rangers for about 4 years?
I
And
think
then
it
the
was
Angels
about
for a
that.
year. Angels for a year after that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's about right.
How was that experience coaching for you, man? Obviously, Jason Knadler has said that you were amazing in that role, and you've spoken to how that filled your cup up. It was very fulfilling for you. Was that a good experience for you?
I loved it. I'm still at this point, still a single guy, so just love being on the field, love being in the baseball, traveling around all these different cities and meeting new people, and I loved that, and being on the field and learning this coaching role, and even in AAA, I had that 2006 year, I got a coach, I got a nickname. They called me Coach.
I remember you telling me that.
And it was because I always had to do the little things right. I had to know the pickoff plays. I had to know all the bump plays forward and backwards, because that's what separated me. If I had my talent with my arm speed and stuff, but didn't feel my position, didn't know the bump plays, couldn't do those things, I was a goner. I was done. And so I knew the bump plays.
Great point. That's a great point.
I knew all that stuff, like the first and third signs. Like, I knew all the plays. I knew the signs. I knew it all. And we'd be running PFPs, and all the guys would be like, "Hey, what's this play? What's that sign? What's this?" And so I became coach.
Coach knows it. Yeah.
Yeah. Coach O.
Maybe you don't have to know that stuff if you throw 100 and you're in the first round.
Yeah. It's like, dude, just throw gas and you're fine. Nobody's gonna be on base, but I had a lot of guys on base, so I had to know that stuff. And so that, it was kind of like that. I was ready. I was ready to take on that role, and loved it. And I took on the Alan Dunn theme of, man, I put the gear on and I threw long toss with the guys.
Yes.
And, I was awesome. Alan Dunn, like 2.0, and that was my goal. I wanted to be that guy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Passing on the knowledge that was passed to you. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Man. That's what the game is all about.
Yeah. I wanted to be that guy for sure. And I had a lot of fun. We had some amazing talent that came through the Texas Rangers at that era. I mean, some guys that are still playing that I love watching still to this day.
Can you think of any names that you had?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Martinez with the Padres. I just saw him. My new career, I go to San Diego a lot. So Nick Martinez is on that team. He's a pitcher, but like Oduro was on that team. He's on San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And let me think of LeClaire with the Texas Rangers is still pitching. He's a closer with the Texas Rangers. Alex Claudio was just a great guy to work with. Those were all the Texas Rangers.
Okay. What all levels were you at?
So this is where I was with the Rangers. I was in rookie ball for 2 years. Then I went to Spokane, which is back in the Northwest League, Spokane, Washington. And then I went to Hickory Crawdad, so the low A out in Hickory, North Carolina.
Okay, cool.
And then that was my last year with the Rangers. And then I went over. And then I met Rachel, my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so things were it was kind of starting to turn. I always knew that I wasn't long for the game because I didn't want.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a tough life.
It's
tough
really
life,
hard.
man, especially if you want a family.
I always knew that with a family, even Alan Dunn, man, he homeschooled his kids, and
really,
he has definitely sacrificed, a lot to be in the game, and brought his family along to everywhere he went, and sacrificed for his wife, to homeschool the kids. And
I mean, if you're not doing that, you're away from your kids for half the year.
But yeah, 100%. And it's like the most difficult because it's the summer, so it's when they're off, and it's nights, weekends, and all summer long. There's no way to get around that. And I always knew, like, just coaches that I always had and respected, Brad Holman, and just some coaches that had families that I remember seeing FaceTime, whether it was on the bus or the clubhouse with their kids, and they're missing Little League games, they're missing tennis matches, and I was like, man, I don't know if I can be this guy.
Yeah, totally.
And
especially coming from a family, you had these amazing parents that were there for you. I'm sure you want to, keep the ball rolling, so to say.
Totally. So I met Rachel, and we had that Hickory year. Could have been the most fun year, though.
Is that where you met her?
No. I met her in Arizona when I was in rookie ball. Her folks have a place in North Scottsdale, and so we met out. We met in Phoenix. So that's why we still live here today. We both love Phoenix.
Yeah.
But that year was so cool. We had just gotten married, and she her job allowed her to work remotely, and she would follow the bus, and we got to go to like Greenville, South Carolina. We got to go to Savannah, Charleston, Asheville.
Those are amazing southern cities.
Amazing places. Yeah. Like, that was our first year being married. She traveled the bus. Like, we got to spend like all morning together before I go to the field at noon, and it was awesome. We lived on Hickory Lake, and it was beautiful. Like, it was so fun. But we always knew that would change when we still wanted to start a family, because they would have to be in school, and we couldn't do those things. And so I always kind of wanted to stay in, and we became pregnant. She became pregnant, in our second year of marriage. And so my head was turning, like, all right, man, I got to figure out another pathway. And so I wanted to stay in rookie ball. And so Scott Service is no longer with the Rangers.
So you're not traveling around.
Yeah. And you could have more of a normal life where you're not leaving. And so,
for those of you that don't know, rookie ball is kind of like baseball boot camp in a way. It's like, it's like a full day of practice with games and stuff, but you're not traveling around all crazy all over the place.
Yep. So, Scott Service went with the Angels. He was the GM of the Angels now.
Mm-hmm.
And him and I connected, and he's like, yeah, I need you. I need you as a rookie ball pitching coach. So I kind of took a step back because I wanted to be that
stability.
That stability. But I still knew that I still need a path, kind of maybe to be out of baseball, or so I kept looking, and I was thinking about ASU, because Smith, oh my gosh, he was the ASU manager,
Tracy Smith.
He was the Canadlers
at Miami of Ohio.
In Miami. Yeah. So they connected to us, and so I was trying to get on the ASU staff with Tracy, and
Cool.
it just wasn't happening that fast, and so anyway, I was kind of looking at all these different avenues, and we had our first daughter, Ryno, and man, I tell you, it was happening fast for me to, kind of my exit out of all of baseball.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
So tough. So finally decided to walk away after your 5th year. Tough. Hang them up.
Well, I got it. It was again trying at that crossroads of like, all right, what's next? And it wasn't baseball. That's all I kind of knew, and
Right.
kind of why I was even interested in what you're doing as a firefighter. I was one of the options, or what I ended up doing is medical device sales, and that's what. And that again, dude, that's another Springfield story. How that started, how I got into medical device sales. A lot of people don't even know that story. So that's again a unique Springfield story in
You want
itself.
to tell it?
Yeah.
Do you have time? How are you doing on time right now?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
We're almost there.
Let's keep rolling. We're almost done.
So again, my mom's probably my biggest fan, and she knew I was kind of going through this, and still living in Springfield at the time, and some people that every off season that I would come home, I would see guys like Billy Clayton, that another
right.
baseball guy. But I would always see this guy in these scrubs, and he looked pretty cool. And I always thought Billy was a good dude. We played each other with the rifles, and I played with his older brother,
Skippy,
with the son. Oh man, I forgot his name on the son, but I'm glad I remembered him. Skips all time, and so I knew the Clayton boys, and would see Bill in these scrubs. I'm like, dude, this guy thinks he's a doctor. And I mean, what is he?
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, Ryno, when you're done with this baseball stuff, which he loved. He was a great baseball guy. I mean, that guy was drafted. That guy could throw some gas.
10th round out of high school through fuzz.
Yeah. And so I always respected him for that. We kind of had that same mindset. And so it always was kind of stuck with me, that, and a guy named Jason Loftus that, at Sacred Heart Griffin. He was a few years older than me, but we used to hunt together, and he was in the med device, and he kind of always would say the same things, like, hey, when you're done with this, man, let me know. And then a childhood friend, Tim Rottinghouse, I always thought a lot of out there at Green Acres. He was a part of that Sandlot stuff, and that he was a guy, again, that grew up in Athens, that went to Sacred Heart Griffin, and then he's doing this med device thing. So I always thought a lot of Tim Rottinghouse. So these kind of three guys always respected, and I always felt like they were doing well for themselves, and so I just started networking with Jason and Tim and Billy, and in fact, Billy's the guy who hired him with his original company. Was a baseball guy. He was a pitcher in the Oakland A's, and he lives in Phoenix, Arizona.
Really? Wow.
So
things are lining up for you again, buddy.
Dude, I mean, again, man, like
good things happen to good people.
I knew I wasn't going, like, we weren't going back to Springfield. I mean, nothing against, obviously love Springfield, but it was kind of over the cold weather, and
I hear you.
The gray and the gloom, man.
Winters are tough here, man.
And
especially if you've experienced Phoenix, and you know what it looks like out there. You're like, it doesn't have to be like this. And
so, I got to, Billy helped me, kind of connect some dots, and next thing you know, I'm networking here in Phoenix and land a medical device job. So I'll never forget. I went into Scott Service's office right in the middle of spring training, and I think it was 2015, right in the middle of spring training. And I'm like, Scotty, man, because he was all through the Cubs and Rangers, and I mean, we did it all together with Scott Service, and he's still the manager with the Seattle Mariners. I mean, the guy's he's a great baseball guy, and he couldn't be happier for me. He was like, dude, I totally get it. I wish you the best. And then off you go, man. So,
yeah. And then you've been following that path ever since.
Yeah, I've been, it's hard to believe, but what is it? Almost 9 years. 8-9 years.
Has that been a fulfilling career for you? You enjoy it?
I mean, there's a lot of similarities, Blake. There's a ton of similarities. It's very competitive. It's you kind of even have that clubhouse group of kind of the guys, talking shop, just that clubhouse feel. You got the team aspect. You got the highs and the lows of, the performance of sales, of, not winning them all and, taking a lot of losses. But those W's definitely feel good when they happen. And but again, at the end of the day, man, life's about people, and I believe in people. Like I just enjoy relationships and enjoy. Life's too short not to, just see the good in people.
Oh, dude, that's beautiful. I absolutely love that. Can you take us or tell us a little bit about your wife and daughters, O'Malley and his lovely ladies? I'd love to hear a little bit about them, man.
Yeah, man. People give me a hard time. Like, man, you must have messed up a lot in the minor leagues to have three girls. But I tell you, at first it was like, man, I always kind of dreamt of having that son, of playing catch and doing the things. Sure. And but I tell you, I met Rachel out here. She's from Wichita, Kansas, and just couldn't be a better partner in life, and a supporter, and a great mom, and great wife. And we've started this family and got 3 beautiful girls. Like I said, like at first, at daughter 1, I'm like, man, I just love to have a kid, love being a dad. And then we never found out, the sex of any of the girls. And then the next one, the next daughter comes, and you're like, oh, okay, here we go. I thought at least 50-50 shot. And, but again, just love being a dad, and they're healthy, and it was good. And, and then we went again. And at this point, I needed to find out if we were having a girl or boy, just for the middle space. And found out, and, had another girl. And man, I tell you what, I've again, a lot like kind of ending your baseball career. You just get your mind around it, and love life, and be thankful for what it's brought you. And
absolutely. And
I couldn't be more blessed to have, a healthy, awesome family. And, and I tell you, I've got some little ball players, man. Yeah, man.
Was Rachel an athlete?
So she was not, but I tell you, I probably haven't met a more competitive person with athletic ability. She grew up in a single mom that, as we all know, it's tough the commitment that I told like I mentioned, my parents, gave, and just to move around. And so she was not, but man, I tell you, she's super competitive. And we're kind of helping with the little league stuff now with the girls, and she's way more competitive than than I am in some of this. So it's been a lot of fun.
And you're helping coaching, aren't you?
Yeah. I have. And again, it kind of brings me back to, especially with the young girls, like if they don't have a good experience, I feel like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that anymore. And so I kind of saw early on where, some of the coaches, their mind's in the right spot to want to do it. And you take your hat off to any of the, just the sacrifice of wanting to be a coach for just a volunteer.
Yeah.
But not all of them are created equal, as we all know. And there was a couple, bad experiences, and my dad was like, Ryno, you can't complain about it unless you get involved and do it. And so I decided to get involved and help do it. And I've loved every minute of it. And it's just about creating that good experience and wanting these kids to come back and love the game. And so, we've had a lot of fun with the girls, and they're getting into it.
That's special. Can you go, how old are they in ages? Or I'm sorry, ages and names, please.
Yeah. So, obviously Ryan met Rachel. So we decided to stay with the R thing. And so we got Raina is 9. Remy is 7 actually on Monday. And then Roxy will be 5 in September. So
beautiful.
Kind of every 2 years, new girl and a new
Yeah.
iPhone. It was kind of our theme,
Yeah.
upgraded iPhone, it's kind of our joke.
Yeah.
And just
It's
love.
safe to say life has turned out pretty well for Ryan O'Malley.
Man, definitely feel blessed, and definitely thankful for all where it started in Springfield, Illinois, and
right.
as you can tell, man, it was a lot of support, and miss not getting back there. Like my folks aren't even there anymore.
Yeah, I know that. Do you ever get back? There's not really a reason for you to. Finaglers, maybe.
I know, and we talk about getting a trip back. Even my Athens buddies, really miss a lot of people from Springfield. That's the one thing I do miss about Springfield is the people. It's good people, man, and no question.
Yeah.
And
City loves
yeah.
you.
No,
Right.
man.
Yeah. Oh, you have taken us on such an amazing journey here. I want to end it on a little easy kind of Q&A, some easy baseball questions, and then we'll get on out of here, man. This has been more than I expected. You've been amazing. Your storytelling is on point. I love it, man. Let's start it off. What's the best baseball movie of all time?
Shoot, Blake. There's you can go different routes. You can go funny. You can go childhood. You could go. So I kind of hit each category. Childhood, like The Sandlot. Just again, what I had at the Green Acres, it brings me back of The Sandlot. So I love that, and I just love the drive of wanting to be in the big leagues and those guys. So that then funny, you got to go Major League, Bull Durham.
I love Bull Durham, man.
But I mean, Bull Durham, especially living the minor league life.
Pretty close to it, right? Would you say?
Very, very close.
The director or writer of it played minor league baseball. Did you know that?
I did not.
Ron Shelton.
Not. But I'm telling you, man, it's really close.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then I kind of alluded to, kind of cheesy, but really what you live when you're playing is, for the love of the game. Tough to give it up at the end, and be able to clear the mechanism and the personal life and the ups and downs, and so yeah, those are kind of throw out some of those baseball movies.
Perfect. Best baseball video game of all time if you played them back in the day.
Oh man, I would have to say Bases Loaded is number one for me. RBI baseball is number two.
Yeah, classics, man. Absolutely.
It's funny. I remember this. I played at Fairview, and I think I was playing. Dad was coaching, and there was a foul ball hit down the right field line. This kid caught it, and I tagged up from first and went to second. And my dad's like, "How did you know that you could do that?" And I was like, dude, RBI or bases loaded. You can do it all day long. And so I just there is some good that you can learn out of some video games. So bases loaded.
What was your glove of choice?
Rollins. I was always a Rollins guy.
I'm loyal to Rollins as well.
Yeah.
Did you have intro music?
I did. Well, I was fortunate to have a lot of them. I think some of the memorable ones was actually Lincoln Land hitting. I had the Top Gun theme song, man.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure the Canadians would give you a hard time about that, but I was always with my dad being in the Air National Guard and loving Top Gun. That was awesome.
Man, that's all time. Yeah.
And then through the minor leagues, and I kind of turned into a Dave Matthews fan, and so American Baby was.
Are you a big DMB fan?
I've seen him a couple times. I like it. I still kind of like his, but I just anyway, a couple of his catchy songs, but as a pitcher, it's not nearly as cool. It's kind of an intro. Yeah.
All right. So you obviously used to get it done with the stick too. Favorite metal bat of all time, or wood, or both?
Metal bat. I mean, going back the Easton Connection.
Woo, yeah.
was pretty hot, man.
Boy.
Those
Yeah.
days in Lincoln Land and then in Memphis.
Were you guys using those -5 big barrels, like 2 3/4?
So in high school, the Z Core, I think it was the Easton Z Core.
Yeah.
In high school, we had the Drop 5, but wait, that
Dangerous.
stopped at Lincoln Land.
Okay.
So we had the connection. So I was always an Easton guy.
Easton guy. All right. What were some of your favorite ballpark songs? You know, songs that just get played all the time at ballparks. You know.
I mean, take me out to the ball. I mean, just being a Cub guy, Harry Carey, like I am still to this day. I mean, I have the Cub game on. My girls are now Cub fans, and so they know who Harry Carey is. We'll sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and then obviously "Go Cubs Go."
Yeah.
Is all time, and being able to be there with the "Go Cubs Go." And the girls know "Go Cubs Go." So those
I love
two.
it. I love it. Funniest teammate of all time.
Oh shoot! I mean, Ryan did Scott Blackwell's up there. And then the minor leagues, Rich Hill, super funny. Ryan Dempster, super funny, and then actually Mark Grace. I'm not Mark Grace, but Greg Maddox, like this all time.
He's known as a prankster, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell some
Kind
stories.
of a sick sense of humor.
I just had that spring training with him. That my one big league spring training, he was there. But dude, he did some sick stuff.
He was known to pee on guys in showers and stuff like that.
Yeah, pee on guys and like white. So back when we used to wear sanitary socks, and he used to wear he would wipe his butt with a sanitary sock. Have this big skid mark, then folded. You know how they're folded completely perfectly. And he'd fold them back and put them in the minor league or the big league camp. They'd have a stack of socks, of sanitary socks. So you get this sanitary sock, you think it's brand new, and you see this big brown skid mark. There you have it.
Amazing.
He would flick boogers, just flick boogers on you if you're sitting next to him. I got to spend a little bit more time with him because his brother Mike Maddox was with the Texas Rangers. He was the pitching coach, and so Greg would come to spring training with the Rangers. So I got to spend a lot more time with him with the Rangers.
That's amazing. I really appreciate you sharing that. Can you think of a couple of the most like talented teammates that you played with, just off the top?
Oh man, there's a lot of them. And you maybe even give me a category of like.
You know what? You already kind of answered this, and I loved it when you talked about Randy Rice. I love the Randy Rice drop that you did. How about we call this most athletic? Because if that's not Randy Rice, I don't know what is, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, but even like Scott Blackwell was super athletic. That guy could dunk a basketball, could throw a football.
Yeah.
Those
Canaders are freaks of nature.
Canaders, they can dunk and very good at golf. Man, there's so many.
Yeah, you're right.
Many.
That's too hard of it. Let's move forward. Favorite ballpark you ever played in, or favorite couple?
Well, obviously, I mean Lincoln Land. I had alluded to that. Just what
Awesome.
what coach built there. Lanphier Park back in high school. I mean, Lanphier was all time. Just you felt like you were in the stadium.
Yeah.
Then at Memphis, getting to play at AutoZone Park was pretty all time. AAA. It was a state of the art AAA at the time.
Yeah.
And then shoot, man, getting to play at Wrigley. Going to Philadelphia, the fans in Philly were the bananas. Pittsburgh's a beautiful field. You kind of got the football stadium right there, the Three Rivers. Like it's pretty all time too. So there you go.
Let's name two of your favorite catchers that you threw to, that you just liked how they caught the game, called it, all that.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Obviously the Canadian Justin's a catcher, but if you for those that probably think that I threw to Justin all the time, I actually didn't. I threw to Nick Kunze.
Really?
Yeah.
Was there a reasoning for that?
No, I don't. I'm trying to think. I think it was that I would pitch the second game. How did the Lincoln Land games go? Weren't they double headers? And then,
a lot of them, yeah. because
And
big
so
you get big bowl burgers in between games.
Yeah, and so Scott Blackwell would always pitch game 1, and I would get to play center field, and then I would get to pitch the second game of the doubleheader, and so Justin didn't catch back to back, and Nick Kunze got to catch the second game. So that obviously, that was everyone probably thought I pitched to Justin, but didn't. Giovanni Soto was great. I had mentioned Paul O'Toole from Notre Dame in the minor league. Casey Kapitsky was great, and then Giovanni Soto, and then at the end, I mean, shoot, man, that connection I talked about, Michael Barrett was pretty all time.
My next one is favorite coaches. I'm going to go ahead and already put Alan Dunn down there for you as one of them at least. Yeah. Is there any other coaches you feel like that had a huge impacts on you or anything like that?
I mean, Coach Krasik. I mentioned the early days with Otha Davis, Doug Furlow, Fred Lamke. Yeah, man. Yeah. It was my dad, the early days too.
Oh, I love it. Most do you have a most memorable strikeout, striking someone out?
Oh man, I didn't strike out many, Blake.
It wasn't really your thing, was it?
I did not strike out many.
We can move on then. I got a better question then for you.
All right.
What's the longest home run that was ever hit off you? Do you remember that?
I tell you, Prince Fielder.
Gotcha.
Oh, he got me quite a bit. So I didn't even get into that, but so Prince Fielder, Ricky Weeks Jr. For those that know Ricky Weeks, and then Tony Gwynn Jr. We all entered at the same age or the same year, and so I mentioned the Lansing Lugnuts. We won the championship, and it was against those guys. And I pitched the final game, and we won and got those guys. But man, later on in my career, like AA and AAA, man, Prince Fielder hit some bombs off me.
Man, he took some hellacious hacks too, buddy.
Yeah. And then McCann, the catcher with the Braves,
Brian McCann.
Yeah. So again, a lefty. I'm naming two lefties: Prince Fielder and Brian McCann. Dude, those guys in AA, AAA hit some long ones.
All right, most fun year in baseball.
I can't put one. I can't limit
two.
To one.
Give me two.
All right, 2000 and then 2006.
I was gonna guess those. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Least fun year in baseball.
Yeah, that 2008, man.
Yep. Okay. Man, you know what? Do you miss the game?
I miss competing. I miss being on the field. I do not miss those bus rides. I do not miss, like I love having, appreciating a Friday, a weekend. I appreciate 4th of July. Not watching fireworks from the dugout. But I'm still, I love being a fan. Like there's not a night that doesn't happen at the O'Malley house that we'll turn the game on and the girls, they know who the home team is. They know what the count is. They know who's, so I love being a fan and being in Phoenix here. Spring training is an awesome time.
Mm-hmm.
I still go out to take the girls out to spring training and do the whole spring training thing for sure.
Ryno, we're at the end, buddy.
Yeah.
This has been amazing. You took us on an epic journey. I felt like I got to go to the big leagues with you there. I hope everyone else feels that way when they're listening. Like I just said, I couldn't be happier with how this went. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. You deserve everything in life that you've had, man. You're just the best person. We're going to take you out here on an Alan Dunn sound clip. If you have anything else to say it. But otherwise, it's going to be Alan Dunn taking us out.
Let's go, Blake.
Let's go, man. I appreciate you. Here we go.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
It was one of those, like, it was just divine intervention.
It really was.
Because you know, if you looked at Ryan's career, you know, never on the high prospect list.
No.
Never. Just one of those guys that was a grinder, a guy that was the organization loved him just because who he was as a person. You knew every day what you were getting when he came to the yard.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing was too big for him.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was one of those that he earned. You know, I don't want to use the word deserve because we don't deserve anything.
Oh, well,
but he
what's that?
earned.
Yeah.
He earned his opportunity. And I tell you what, when that day came and they called it us and said, hey, Ryan's coming to the big leagues, I can't believe, I don't remember a more gratifying time personally, not for me, but for him, knowing here's a man that, you know, you have those expectations as a little kid to get to the big leagues. And,
Yeah.
And when that day comes, I mean, I just felt it inside of me for him. You know, I just knew how he was feeling. So what a great day of telling him, hey, dude, you're going to the big leagues. And then, you know, the rest of going out there and doing what he did. I mean, that's just
Crazy.
Well, those are things that stories are written about, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the things that stories are written about. All right, buddy.
That's
Thank
cool,
you for your time,
That's
Ryno.
cool.
We appreciate
Yeah, thanks, Blake. I appreciate you, man. You're doing
All
a cool thing, man.
We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right.
See you,
Thanks,
brother.
Blake.
Yeah. Thanks
Bye.
everyone out there for listening. We're out.